Let me know if there's anybody there while I look at this. Oh, could not figure out how to log on my phone like I did last time. The whole interface has changed. Hey ho, there we go. Bum, 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 bum. It's very strange. Right, I'm going to turn this off because this is causing me problems. I'm going to move myself down there so I can sit myself down. 1 second. Oh, I've got my iPad open here, so hopefully I can see some questions coming in. Oh, there we go. Put that over there. Let's unplug this before I break my table. Unplug that temporarily. Oh my word. What have we got here? Can't get this bugger in. Right, there we go. Plug that in there, get my battery going. Oh, doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Bum, bum, bum. Oh. Oh. There we go. I need a cup of tea, man. Hello, everybody. I can't see any questions or anything at the moment up on my screen. I'm going to try and rectify that because they should flow up here somewhere, shouldn't they? Oh, they're coming on this side now. Well, Facebook just changed stuff so often. It's unbelievable. Actually, this is a bit better because last time it was flying up in front of the screen. That side for me. And it's very hard to click on. Now, if I can, dare I watch the video here? Because I might be able to see the questions better. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's better. I can see the questions much better here, maybe. Can I scroll this? Can I scroll this? Oh, I can scroll this actually. This might be better. Right, it says the video's ended over here. Hopefully that's not the case. So I'm just going to close that. It might... Well, that says it's ended, but I've got a full signal, I do believe. Let's have a look. Right, first question. Let's. Oh, I hope everyone's all right. I'm very sorry for being late. Oh God, I've got this big. Shall I do this? Core space poster. That's a little bit better. So there we go. So hello everybody. I've got some stuff arriving down here, and I've got this here just in case. Let's turn that off. I don't know what that's doing. Okay. Do you love me? I've got to say yes to that, I guess, haven't I? Love CS? So do I, man. I absolutely love core space. In fact, on this table I've got at the moment, let's see if I can do this. You won't be able to see anything. Got this table here. Underneath all of these slats, I've got this got all the firstborn stuff set up. So I'm currently playtesting that, which is I'm really excited about. Even though I've playtested it loads of times, we're going through the final versions of the rules, so it's always great because I get to actually have the rule book next to me without all the bells and whistles, and I can refer back to that on a regular basis to make sure that everything's really tight. There's no misunderstandings between my original scribbles of the rules and putting it out through others, as it were. Just want to say thanks for the core space. Thank you, Carl. Question: any plans for a new fantasy set in the future? Jonathan. Can everybody hear me okay? If I just scroll down, maybe someone can answer. And I'll work my way through. Someone say they can hear me. Otherwise, I'll just sit here talking to myself forever. I'm going to sit here until someone tells me they can hear me. Come on. Oh, I've kicked my bin over. At least it's not my bucket. At least it's not a bucket. Yes, brilliant. Thank you. Yes, brilliant, Dane. That's excellent. Because over here it says on my other iPad, it says that the video ended and it'll be available soon. So I don't know what happened over there. So I'm turning that off because that's confusing. Lovely. Yep, clear. That's great. Michael, thank you. David, excellent. Adam, brilliant. Right, I'll scroll to the top now. Right, that's it. Feel better. Okay. Angle this a little bit. Maybe I'm too close. Right, okay. So, Jonathan, any plans for new fantasy sets in the future? Actually, we've got so much fancy terrain. You probably see the Wizard's Tower in the background here somewhere. Got so much fancy terrain at the moment that there's no. Why not? It was love building that stuff. Absolutely brilliant. And considering there's some other fantasy stuff coming this year, that should be quite fun as well. So hopefully, so yeah, it stands to reason that there is going to be terrain there, and obviously, so I guess yes is the answer. Backtracking a little bit, there is going to definitely be more stuff. I was thinking a bit more in the future, but actually, there's going to be some stuff this year actually. So that's kind of interesting. In the form that you want, I'm not sure, but yeah. Hello, Niles. Yes. Speak louder. Okay, fair enough. I'm finally getting some stuff here. I could plug a microphone in. That might help. I might go and get my microphone. But everyone else has said clear, so turn your volume up. That'd be great. I'm moving it closer for my microphone as well. Unfortunately, it means you get more of this, but that's it. We live. Brilliant. Excellent. Yeah. Again, apologies for being late for this one. I won't bore you with the details, but slight family emergency, 3 kids and all the rest of it. Lockdown situation. So, but it's sorted, which I'm very happy about, which is great. And I'm here and I'm talking, which is great. It's great. Okay. Why do we need a fantasy setting? Well, but so you can play our fantasy game, obviously, Adam. Yes, really looking forward to the fantasy game. Absolutely, yeah, just loving it. Of course, I'm still working on course-based firstborn, the final bits and pieces of that, and also working on something else in the vein of. Well, the original course base, we had the core game, and then obviously we carried on supporting it with all the Mission Mondays and everything. And now we've got the firstborn, which I'm working on now, which has been kickstarted and done and dusted, and that's all being pulled together. But in between, we released the Dangerous Days stuff, and the Dangerous Days stuff was really, really good fun. And you've got the book, and you've got the workers and the Rogue Purge, and they were really fun to playtest. Now, what we're doing is obviously we want to release another one of those type of supporting products to expand the universe further. So we've got something that we are working on for that as well, which is really, really cool. So I'm working on the final bits of Firstborn, but also working on that at the same time. And once all that stuff, I've got a lot of photography to do for the rule book, and then I've got things like tutorial videos, which won't be too bad actually for Firstborn, not compared to the fantasy terrain, which was masses of videos. But I have definitely got some other stuff on the table at the same time. But once that's off, I'll be focusing a lot more fully on the next big thing. And that's always a great thing, because it's really hard when you're juggling different products, and it's very much the different projects as they're going on. Once you get to focus, you really get to kind of delve in, and that's when I'll be putting on, like I did with sci-fi, I'll be putting on the particular music that really floats my boat to get me in the mood for sci-fi and stuff like that. I'll be doing that for fantasy setting, and that's when all the things start to come together. And I'm just looking forward to that bit where, as you're designing stuff, you get moments as you're like drawing a character or whatever, and it all starts to fall together. And all of a sudden you get, oh wow, you draw something like that could be a thing, which is a mechanic over here, and all of a sudden that sparks onto something else, and you just lose yourself. Hours and hours just fall away before I get back to that drawing, because all this mechanical stuff sort of comes out, and you're just like, yes, why didn't I think of that before? That's obviously what we need to do, fantasy versus sci-fi and stuff. So that's, yeah, really looking forward to that. We live. We are Darren. Yeah. Hope everything goes okay. Yes, thank you, Sebastian. Everything is okay. Finally, an hour late, but we got there. I got there. Please just focus on CS. Adam, there's a theme here. I'll focus on whatever people ask me to focus on, but if you're talking about CS, I will literally bore you with CS. In fact, I did a podcast, not yesterday, but the day before, recorded, won't be out till the 5th of March. We'll link you here as it gets close. And yeah, pretty much just spoke about core space for far too long, to be fair. Yeah, really enjoy doing that, which is really good. Don't forget the tea. Now, this is the thing, I'm totally unprepared this time. I've got as far as I've got a coaster, and this is about as far as it's going to go. So I can only hope that my lovely wife is going to bring me a cup of tea. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. She's busy working as well, so oh god, it could be. Oh, we'll see what happens. Okay. Yes, I keep seeing people, Darren. I keep seeing people mention this space sweepers. It looks very core space-esque. So I've just finished Expanse, which was very enjoyable, and a lot of influence there from Expanse in early days of core space, as it was kind of a new thing at the time, and obviously various other things. So yeah, looks pretty good. Often I will kind of avoid something if it's very close to what I'm doing, or people say, oh, you should watch this because of blah 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 blah. Try and avoid it in case I see something that I like so much that I try to merge into, get it. And I'd rather not be influenced. Yeah, moving on to fantasy, I might jump into the old, just for the time being, fantasy. I might jump into the old, a bit of that sweepers. It does look pretty good. I haven't even watched the trailer, but a couple of little Facebooky things or something I've seen. I'm just like, okay, looks good. Hey, when will Renard? When will you do a ship or two for the fantasy stuff? Oh, ships, eh? And a siege tower, a ram, and a siege ladders. Nearly did a siege tower actually as part of the fantasy Kickstarter that just went. I had the designs down, albeit very basic. It's quite simple. Should be quite a simple thing to do. You've got the two sides, and you've got the supporting. How does I do it? You've got the two sides like this, and then you'll have the supporting bit that kind of slots into it quite easily. And you've the little gubbins and all the bits and bells and whistles that make it work. And you could have separate ladders on that and little hooky bits and so on. But yes, I did have a design for that. Just never made it because of time, as always is the case. The Wizard's Tower just really killed my time in the end. But still got it up in time. But yeah, that was good. So yeah, siege towers certainly at some point, I'm sure. A ship though, not sure about the ship. I mean, I can do a ship, but yeah, very cardboard. Takes a little bit more work to get all the angles right, and then you've got questions to ask of how much of the ship is. Do you go all the way and then support it somehow, or do you just have, sort of cut it off? It'd be easier way to do it so that it's always submerged under the water to a certain extent. Lots of different things to do with that. Which parts of it, up deck and below deck, are lift off, and how does that affect the mast? And do I move to a different material for the sails and all that kind of stuff? Nothing unachievable there, but very time consuming, as it were. Be interesting. Okay, Jonathan, any plans for a new fantasy set in the future? Hopefully I've just answered that, or maybe I read that one too early. Yes, fantasy, yeah, again, yes, fantasy sets in general. We've got fantasy happening this year, as I've explained, which is, game wise should be happening. I don't want to promise and under deliver, but I'm glad you can see me, Dane. That's great. Aaron, can you tell us anything about the fantasy game? I'm excited. Okay, yeah, so am I, really. Not a great deal, to be fair. No. All I can say is expect it. The thing about the core space is core space runs on a kind of the rules of core space run on a rule set that I've been using for years and years for my own games. Played everything from Judge Dredd, Star Wars, whatever I was into at the time. Thank you. There we just had a conversation about this. Someone saying you're going to be able to get a tea. There you go. Do you want to say hello to the world?
Hello, world.
There you go. Get back to work. Well, that answers that question, and it's a nice big one as well, so that should keep me going. Yes. What was I talking about? Fantasy. Yeah. So the rules, the rule set that I use is basically my is my, if you like, real world physics. So I just see it as like a life book, so that whatever game I'm playing, whether it's a Star Wars thing or, like I say, a Judge Dredd or Hellboy thing or whatever the Batman I've used it for, ABC Warrior type thing, anything that's that I'm into. I'm like, wow, I'm really into this at the moment. So, if I wanted to, you'd be like Expanse. I'd be like, oh, what, I'll do an Expanse game. I'm just walking around talking a lot. I really do get. I just really turn to that rule book. I can pick up the core space rule book as it is now, and just play any game I want. So I take that book and I put it on the table, and I could grab I wouldn't do my Star Wars because I've got a rule set for that, but I would do, let's say, the Expanse, and I'd be like, I want to do the Expanse. So I'd get the characters, put them on the board, and I'd use the core space book just as my physics. So expect the fantasy game to basically run off the same physics, but of course with there's the nuance there of the themes and the settings and everything else, and there's going to be there'll be a few core mechanical changes. So, for example, skill points might be used by wizards for I'm going to say magic. For their science, as it were, their magic and science, and might be used similar to skill points for other races. But you expect it to be run through that same world physics book, because that's what really, really works. And most of the rules can be pulled and pushed towards whatever you want to do, without almost no alteration. People still need to move. People in the real world have to abide. I assume most people have to abide by the laws of physics, and so do the people in the games that I play. So you're still going to have to move around. You're going to have to interact with things. You're going to attack someone at close range. You're going to attack someone at range. There's not going to be as much of a range necessarily. So expect a lot more close combat, a lot more up and dirty action. And then you've of course got other things like magic and things like that. So if you've played Core Space, which many of you have, of course, I assume, which is why you're here, then you can absolutely expect to be able to just pick this up and just play. Very, very quickly. A lot of the things you're going to take for granted. I would say that you could. I mean, I don't know yet, but I'd say you probably just read a few different sections, and if you didn't read the whole thing, you'd probably just be able to get through with very, very minimal mistakes. You know what? Even if you are making a small mistake, if you're all playing the same mistake, it's all very fair and even anyway. Much is the way with Core Space. So yeah, I can tell you as much as that. I can't confirm things like races and things and all that kind of stuff, because they're all just sketches in books, and I'm moving stuff around. I've got some cool ideas. Just got some cool ideas about but everything needs fleshing out. So I wouldn't want to sort of drop an idea on you only to near the time find it's not anywhere near there because something better come along, or I need to change a thing for something or other. So I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be even more excited once I break the back of the initial design, which is that really fun bit. So that's going to be great. Really good. Looking forward to getting to the. I'm a sci-fi guy, but I'm really looking forward to getting to the fantasy. So, hello there. Just wanted to say thank you for the amazing fantasy sets. My D&D players love them so much. Jean-Luc, well, no problem. I'm glad you like them. I love them. I've used them in core space when we were playtesting. When we was testing, playtesting some core space stuff, but also testing the terrain. I literally used, rather than fantasy, I used core space. Again, real world physics, and just had them go through one of our portals. One of these little portal things. Here, look, you can see one here. That's this is my white copy where I was. It looks a lot better now. Went through one of our portals and ended up trapped for 3 missions in this. Withdrew in this kind of. I wouldn't say back in time. I'd say a different area of the galaxy. So expect that to be a kind of a thing with fantasy core space. I really enjoyed testing through there, opening the buildings up and stuff like that, and that was great because it gave me an opportunity to go, maybe if I locate this slightly differently, it'd be easier to take off. And so I made some adjustments, and those few little adjustments I made right near the end, after the Kickstarter, I think, were some of the great things that just made everything just that little bit easier to handle on the tabletop. Everything from, like I say, adjusting things so they fit on a little bit better by a few millimeters, to making the half cuts in the roof into quarter cuts, so you could bend the roofs but they won't bend too easily. That caused China a lot of problems. There's not actually such thing as a quarter cut, so we had to invent a quarter cut. I just thought it'd be a given, but there you go. It's amazing what you learn about cardboard. Okay, so please do fantasy core space. I'm already sold. So am I, as you probably realised. I'm down to the sound bit now, where everyone's telling me I'm loud and clear. Just speak louder. I'm trying to speak louder. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll move this forward a bit again. If you can't, then I'll know about it in about 10 minutes time when I scroll down. What are your future plans for fantasy? Well, hopefully I've covered that, Will, just now. There we go. Oh, actually, Adam, you're already saying that's better, so I'm speaking louder. There you go. Let's have a look. Oh, move that down. Would you be releasing more content for Core Space Original, i.e. in the Barrens? Okay, so the thing about Core Space is all about locations. Love the fact that we've got the different locations already with our terrain set, so if you want to have a different location, you can just go there. But I really like the idea of a game as a location, which is where Firstborn come from. It's a location. So maybe later on we're going to go back, sort of kicking around the Barrens, but certainly in Galactic Core Space. So expect a lot of Purge. Purge are still the major threat within the galaxy. I mean, the Firstborn have been woken up, and they're obviously a massive threat as well. Incredibly powerful, but an incredibly small in compared to the vastness of the Purge that are just a plague on the galaxy. Now, it might take them a few thousand years to work their way through and basically leave the actual galaxy itself barren, but hopefully that won't happen. Not in my lifetime. But we will, the Firstborn are very small compared to the Purge, so expect a lot more Purge action. But they're the overlying story of Core Space as far as an enemy is concerned. So I've got some great ideas I'd love to do. For example, so every time something comes out in Core Space, it's going to be location based. We've got the Cyberpunk location set around the Barrens areas and various other places, I guess, because the set's versatile. You've got the Firstborn set, which is ridiculously megaparsecs, up the end of the Perseus arm. But there's plenty of other places in galactic standard space that you can visit. So I'd like to do a gang orientated one where you've got a lot more of the gangs, and maybe something a little bit more open, a bit like the Outland set, with more individual building type scenery and have that as another location, another core set that you could release. We could release and just add to that location and kind of bring those stories together in the across the main theme of the story as it unfolds for everybody. So it's the Purge is still the main threat, but we're just visiting these different locations. And in my head, I would like to have multiple locations, so that anyone who's into core space can literally just move from one set to another and be like, right, I'm done fighting the Purge for a bit. I'm still going to fight the Purge, but I want to go off and try. They're getting a bit too tough. I want to go off and try my luck against maybe another part of the galaxy. Maybe it'll be very galactic central, more shiny, a lot of galactic core police, and maybe that'll be the main protagonist or antagonist. Sorry. The main enemy, and then you've got and then, like I say, you've got the gangers, and there could be some very specific alien type worlds, not necessarily like the Firstborn, but there's going to be areas where people are going to be. You might find yourself up against a particular alien race, or so on and so forth. So it's all about location. I have this kind of dream that you'll be able to go to our website, and we've got a new shiny website that can support it now. You could go to our website as an existing player or a new player, start a new crew, and just look at a map of the galaxy, which I have got a map of the galaxy. Don't ask for it yet, please. I've got a map of the galaxy, and you can just put your mouse across it, or touch screen or whatever. Click. I think I'm going to start my crew here, and you sort of press the button, and it goes to that particular system. You pick a planet, boop, and that's where my crew's going to start. And your mission will be generated based on that planet and that area. And your missions will generate from there. And at that point, when you've done that, you get to pick a level and go, well, I don't want to go here yet. That looks a bit dangerous, but I'm not ready. But maybe I can go over here. And so you click that, and that'll generate you a mission. You could sort of almost work your way around the galaxy. And of course, we need all the different sets and everything to support that. But that would be, that would be my idea. As a player, that's what I would like to do. I'd like to start a crew, pick a planet, and just, let the story unfold. And every time I go to a new system or a new planet, the missions to be relevant to that, and to and maybe to be have a level to it, so when I'm looking around I could be like, oh, that looks like a good adventure, but you know what, the difficulty level, that's pretty high, I need to level my crew up a bit further, and so on. So all stuff for the future, but yeah, that's my crazy dream. That'd be that's what I'm looking for. Let's have a look. What about a modular dungeon for a fantasy set? Any plastic fantasy monsters to go with it? Yeah. Yes, I think. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for modular dungeon, then just hang around. That'd be fine. Yeah, but we will be seeing. We'll be seeing more Chug brand terrain sets. I don't know, it depends how well they do. Chug's a big old brand in the core space. So yeah, I'm sure we've got something. We have got Chug in Firstborn somewhere. I think we've got. Yeah, there's a container here. It's got. I've got to do this properly. It's got Chug on the side of that. It's a nice little container here. This one's got a little. Whoops, there you go. See, that's Chug branded. Always the best stuff. What else I've got over here? I've got this lovely little building. Got no flooring at the moment. You've probably seen this. A little bit of a closer look at the. It's nice little shelving in this one. It's a cracking little building. Love this building. No clips on this one. This is just this fits together. The shelving inside actually. The shelving inside actually works as the clip that holds the building together. So there's a section just here, which is great because when this all unfolds, it fits on the tool perfectly. But yeah, that's love that. Oh, there's the floor. So we got these nice little drop containers. These are really cool. In fact, I've just written some rules for the In the Line of Fire I really like these as drop container. I've written some rules and I've put on some. In fact, nobody knows yet. Not even Stu knows, so he's going to have a heart attack probably because it's more rules. Yeah, I've got these unique kind of light grey counters, which are normal equipment tokens, but it allows you to be able to teleport or drop supply in supplies should you need it. Things like ammo and things like that. Because in Firstborn, you don't. In original core space, you're likely to find ammo and stuff. One of the things you'll get used to very quickly using Firstborn is the fact that when you go in, you are going to be if you don't take ammo, you're not going to find ammo. You know that you won't find alien ammo just sitting around that's going to fit in your guns. So you need to take in your ammo with you. You need to be a little bit more prepared. And of course, this time straight in the core box, we've got nano accessories, so you can take in some smaller ammo items, but still give yourself, a real gun, full clip. So, but you and you've also got accelerant ammo as well, which is pretty good because if you're going to craft accelerant ammo and use that, once you've done a bit of mining, you'll need some minerals to craft that from the Firstborn stuff. The accelerant ammo is really good because it will allow you to whatever it says on the token, you can add a dice to it. It's fantastic. However, it will your gun will jam on just one exclamation mark, one pang as I call them. It'll jam on one pang, and if you get three, it'll literally break the weapon. So yeah, something to watch out for there. But go in with some ammo. I knew this going in on my play testing. I still forgot, and you run out of bullets pretty quick. There are some good Firstborn weapons that you can find as well, particularly the Dyson vessel and the Dyson. Can't remember the name of it. Vent, I think, and they are really good weapons because when you get shot by the I probably said the Purge a few times. I mean the Firstborn. When you get shot by the Purgeborn, their particular energy, if you're holding one of these weapons, what it actually does, it actually negates the first hit of that attack, which is handy because they're bloody powerful, and it kind of stores it on top of the weapon as a counter, and then as it charges up, you can actually spend those like ammo. You just spend that charge to roll as many or as little dice as you want. So if you built up 5, you could literally make a 5 dice attack. However, if the weapon gets to full, the full counters it can take, and you take another hit, it'll explode and you'll get those dice attacks on you. So you've got to kind of balance that particular weaponry. The weapons are powerful, but they're not without risk, as it were. That's just one idea. Love that. Yeah. So we've got some new supply. So I was saying we've got some new supply counters you can drop in and get yourself some ammo. They can't be sold after the game or anything. You can't buy them. They're unique, and they're randomly dropped in, which is kind of cool. Oh, I love that stuff. I get very excited. Okay, what about Modular Dungeon? Oh, yeah. Going down a bit, going down. Great to see more gangers. Yeah, definitely agree with that. Here's really, really cool. Takes a drink. Yeah, if you're going to play the game, really, really cool. No worries. I'm not sure I'm going to use that on this one. Yeah, probably going to say the word excited quite a lot. Andrew, you should do a sound set for core space. Okay, if you're I don't know what the synchro space thing, but are you talking about like an audio thing? Yeah, that'll be that another little thing of mine I just love to do. Absolutely love. I mean, when I play, I've got my own little tracks that I particularly play in the background, which is right cool, or really, really cool. Take a drink, please, Paddy. Okay. Hi Langdon, how you doing? I love hearing about the fantasy stuff. Good, because that's a good thing. Bonjour as well. Fantasy version of Core Space, pretty pleased. Yep. If you just joined us, I've just spoken loads about that and maybe some more. Hi Colin, listen. Oh, hang on, I'm told to listen. I'm going to listen. Hang on. Listen, I have the deluxe rulebook. Is there any plan to release a V2 with the new stuff, or as a complement to the first? No plans to release the deluxe rule book again. We did. I don't know what print run we're on, but we've done quite a few print runs of it. I love this book. It is absolutely amazing. At the moment, for me, this book just is still absolutely solid for me. Obviously, you then got the Dangerous Days book, which adds some stuff to it. Yeah, there'll be another little book coming to cover some new rules and things. And I guess you'll have the book that comes with the Firstborn if you're jumping in on that as well. Like I said before, I use that book to play other games. I will often buy a game either from a Kickstarter or whatever to get the miniatures, and then I just play the game with the core space rulebook, and make those adaptations. I will not use ammo for Batman. I would have those as his batarangs or whatever. Skill points become combat moves and so on and so forth. So there's all that kind of cool stuff. So no plans to release your version 2 or anything at the moment. Land vehicle, please. Yeah, I always say no vehicles, but of course I've done 2 shuttles now, and I've got some designs for a spaceship. So we'll have to see what happens there. Do you ever plan on making a cyberpunk terrain? I know it can be pretty similar to sci-fi, but maybe something similar to your urban apocalypse buildings. Okay, I get what you're saying. Because obviously we have a cyberpunk terrain, but I see where you're going here. Urban apocalypse buildings to tackle the sci-fi city aesthetic, kind of like court buildings, blah blah. Yes, and in fact, at one point it was an idea for me to do as a Kickstarter. I think just before Core Space, I was toying with the idea of giving Core Space a little bit more time to breathe and to grow, and I was going to do revisit the urban, but in a sci-fi setting, because the sci-fi is Kickstarter was very popular. A few people have mentioned it. So something very Blade Runner-esque kind of thing, similar to the urban apocalypse terrain, but obviously with some upgrades like we often do. Yes, so I have thought about it, definitely. Would it be good? Yeah, I think so. Would it be worth doing because we've got a game like Core Space? Definitely. There's a lot of reasons to do it. Core Space just came first, and I'm glad it did. And of course, Core Space is evolving at a rapid pace, and I want to be able to fill that universe up as well. So yeah, sounds like there could be something interesting. I like the idea of it, at least. Okay, second question. Have you ever thought of providing a proper pen to ease in people wishing to paint the card edges black or any other matching colour? Yes, I have. We have done a little research into it. It's kind of difficult. You can. The one of the issues we face is that if I'd love to do, there are about 5 pens. Obviously I've got thousands of pounds worth of pens, but there are I've got about 20 to 25 pens are my go-to, but I need those because when I'm prototyping I have like a white card edge. There's nothing I can do about that, and I have to kind of brown that down to be more like the finished product and then apply the colour. So I have this, so the colours that I use in my prototype are not necessarily the right colours for you guys to use, but I think you could probably boil it down to about 5 pens that you could do, which would kind of do a lot of our terrain. Because if you haven't realised already, I've got a very kind of subtle colour palette. And it's various shades of tan with other colours mixed in. So my red is a kind of a tan red, my yellow's a tan yellow, my green's a tan green. So we have done it. The difficulty is that if you go with a branded pen, I'm just going to name one, Copic is what I use, and you can be sure that those colours are going to be consistent when they're supplied, time in, time out, time in. Very, very specific, always going to be the same. Whereas you can buy those pens cheaper and have them produced in China, etc. Blah blah blah. And they tend to. I know this because I buy them for my kids. So a pack of like 60 Copic markers, which would be like £300 plus. I get my kids some, and they are £21.99. So and they use those to run out and replace them. But when I replace them, I've nicked some of theirs because my ink's run out and I couldn't get hold of a particular colour, and it's been perfect. And then I've taken one from the others, exactly the same marker, and the colour's just not quite right. So I don't want that to be an issue, basically. And a million other things going on at once, so that didn't quite happen. But I've absolutely thought about it because it'd be great to have a little kind of supportive thing. We have, of course, got our course-based dry white marker now. Turn that the right way, which is really, really cool. Which we got in a fine tip, because they sent the samples last week and it was way too fat. I mean, I could write with it, but it was way too fat. So we sent it back and said, oi, I can't write on. If I can't write on the Nebuchadnezzar on it, it's not going to work. Not going to work. In fact, you can actually see here me testing out the finer tip, as it were. Couldn't do that with the other one. The first one they bought us. What else we got up here? Ooh. Firstborn event cards. I need to put my foot back up here. Oh, that's better. Okay, so yes, Nuno, I apologise, I'm probably not pronouncing that correct, but I have absolutely thought about that. We have looked at it, and not saying we're not going to do it in the future, because I would like to do that. I'd love to give people that kind of one-stop shop where they can just get everything they need and not have to kind of go to their art hobby shop, etc. Which you can't, a lot of people can't do at the moment because of lockdown, certainly in the UK and possibly other places. So an actual fantasy game, Adam? Yes. Shall I just say yes? Yes. So unless something tragic happens, yes, because that's what I want to do. That's what we all want to do. I like to play CS with friends, but I would like playing against them. I like to play CS with my friends, but I would like to play against them. Well, you can, absolutely. Grab yourself an extra crew and do it that way, or split the crew into two, and then go against the firstborn as well if you really want to struggle. Yeah, absolutely. Great thing about Core Space is it is a great player versus player game. Even because even if one other person gets the objective, or none of you get the objective because you're busy shooting at each other, you always come away with something because you found your loot, your characters progress, you get more skills, and so on and so forth. So that's great. Play it cooperatively as well, of course, and of course you can play it solo. Most of my gaming through my life is played solo because I like to play solo games. So, and that's where Core Space come from. It came from a solo game originally. So yeah, cool. Do it. I say do it. Have you thought about creating a Core Space style game in a fantasy theme? Brad, yeah, you might have missed the first part of the video, but I talk quite extensively, giving away loads and loads of secrets about the fantasy game. Well, actually, I don't give any secrets away, but yes, we have, and it's going to happen. So, swords instead of guns, yeah, lots of different melee. Doesn't mean there's not going to be guns there. I love the idea of the engineer thing. They'll just be a bit more specialist. Okay, I want to see a Core Space Amazon Expanse Edition in the future. Wouldn't that be great? As soon as I've done Star Wars, then we'll get onto that. I'm not doing Star Wars, will I? Okay. Oh, back in. Against the current and ready to be hit, I would say please not another fantasy setting game. Something not so common. What makes Core Space so unique? These days, I mean, there's literally hundreds of new ones surfacing. Yeah, absolutely, but we're going fantasy, and but it's fantasy with me, so don't necessarily expect like Gandalf wizards and elves and things like that. Expect those roles to be filled, but don't expect don't expect normal anything from me, I'm afraid. So because it just doesn't happen. When people ask me to do stuff, you know, I just don't give them what they expected, but hopefully what they like. It's a bit like this wizard's tower behind me. Stu was saying, Stu said to me, "You've got to do a wizard's tower. Absolutely got to do a wizard's tower." So I did, and you know, really enjoyed doing it. But I don't show anybody what I'm working on, which is incredibly frustrating until I, you know, send them a photograph and just go ta-da, and there it is. And and then I just wait. What do you think? And it's like, well, that's absolutely not what I was expecting, but I like it. So, you know, I just don't. I don't know. I just can't do. I can't do normal. I don't know what happens there. I just found this. Look at this. Solid silver turn counter, made by my wife. Absolutely solid silver, beautiful for U core spaces. I'll bring it over there. Cast from the original sculpt. Got a 3D printer, so printed that off, sent it off to the casters. They made the mould, and then we've got this lovely, yeah, absolutely beautiful. Over there, actually, put that back over there. That was in my wizard's tower. I forgot to put it there. Okay, so yeah, sorry. So I'm going fantasy, but hopefully it will have a twist to it. And you know, core space galaxy is a big place. So don't expect fantasy necessarily to be in the past. Okay, so is Battle Systems looking at doing a Wild West terrain range akin to the fantasy range? Not right now, no, but it is absolutely a suggestion. Feudal Japan as well, all those kind of settings. I've certainly done some, you know, some Japanese stuff with like the little bridges and the little tea houses and stuff like that. Going all the way back, wow, 7 years ago. Was putting some ideas and stuff together for another company, but I think Wild West in this kind of with the battle system stuff would work really well because of its very flat sides and, you know, the little wooden things interlocking and all that kind of cool stuff. So I think it'll certainly be a good fit. It's just not something we're working on right now, but there's that, and there's you can do stuff with World War II stuff, and yeah, oh my god, so much stuff, and just these two hands, as it were. Yeah, so yeah, love to do that as well. But will we see more urban apocalypse terrain? It needs to be revisited, doesn't it? Like houses style, gas station, hospital, McDonald's. Yeah, I mean the really big buildings are difficult. It's like the shopping mall and stuff like that. I could absolutely do it. It'd have to be a bit more bespoke though, otherwise it'd just be this huge clip junction. You know, escalators and stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be really great to do that as well. Again, another genre that's maybe it's something we could do. We could hit like the Cyberpunk kind of Blade Runner-esque kind of urban apocalypse, and then use that as a reskin to do a thing. That's maybe I could do something where the tooling's similar, and then the artwork just comes in and combine a few things together to create a multi-project or something like that. Maybe not right now, but yeah, I think it could do with a revisit, as it were, at some point. If you're going to do a fantasy game, be enough different, like similar to the Brimstone. Yeah, exactly. Jonathan. Yes. Like I was just saying, it won't be the same as those other games. Partly because I just don't play those other games, so I won't be influenced by them for sure. And you know, I just won't want to do anything that's the same as anything else. I assume, because that's just how I do it, which is interesting. So So I'll get the chance to port the course-based character generator over to the fantasy game. Would love to do that. Yes, that would absolutely be great. Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at very similar. Obviously, it's going to look dramatically different as far as thematically. It's a different setting and so on and so forth. Albeit in similar same galaxy. It will absolutely be. It will absolutely. It will absolutely be using those same rule books and the same kind of ideas and stuff like that. So hopefully it will be a pretty easy port, says the guy that doesn't know what he's talking about as far as doing stuff like that's concerned. But yeah, should be, absolutely. I suppose Amazon or something in the tropics. How about Schwarzenegger Predator setting or similar? No copyrights or yeah, maybe that might be good. Oh, just so much I can do. It is hard to make decisions about what to do, when to do it, and what to do next, because I want to do all of it. It's just a tricky one. What about more freestanding buildings with roofs and such in the same as sci-fi style you have the Galactic and Frontier? Would be great for games of Infinity. Yeah, certainly, so for example, as I showed earlier on, this little building here, this is totally a freestanding building. It builds only in one way, so it's not modular, the shelves and all the rest of it. And as I said earlier, it does have a floor here. So you've got this little building here, which is a cracking little building. Absolutely love that building. It's so I can actually do it, and I've got some great ideas for the chapel from the fantasy, for example. If you look at those kind of big buttresses, the big kind of like frog legs around it, you could take that and create some very kind of almost 40k-esque kind of, bunker style individual buildings and stuff like that, and other different individual buildings. So certainly achievable in that kind of, in the vein of the fantasy where it's individual buildings. Certainly looking forward to do that. That was almost our next project. Definitely would be really cool to do that. Any plans for adding other IPs? Firefly, is that Xenomorphs, Predator? Second mention of Predator. No plans at the moment. I'm not saying that there isn't that we don't get offered to do stuff. We do, but I'm gonna say but I like to have that like full control over what we're doing at the moment. I don't want to be tied down by some of the restrictions and the problems you get with IP. So when it comes time for me to do that, I want it to be absolutely solid. I'd love to do. There's a couple. There's at least two that I'd absolutely love to do, which I probably wouldn't say no to. So I'll let you guess what they are. Hey Colin. Hey Marco. Playing core space on tabletop sim during your Q&A. I was one of the first backers. Cheers to you. Well, thanks Marco. I appreciate that. I love core space, so I'm glad that you love core space as well. Paddy, serious question. Oh, take a sip. Just calm myself for seriousness. Your newer kits have moved towards cardboard connections rather than all plastic clips. I like this. Thank you. Is this something we will see more in the future of kits? So newer kits, as far as on Firstborn is concerned, if you're looking at the external buildings and things like that, like this one that I just showed you a minute ago, which uses no clips whatsoever, the shelving inside becomes a clip. Then yeah, absolutely great. Yeah, I can certainly do that. It depends upon the purpose of it. So for example, if you're looking at in-game terrain like in Firstborn, like in Core Space, it needs those clips for that modularity. The original prototypes I did actually had cardboard clips. I know because my fingers were bleeding by the time I cut all those clips out of cardboard. But of course, they do survive if you're careful, but they won't survive the rigors of, you know, everyday mission setup and so on. With the freestanding stuff, I do try to remove the clips where possible. Wizard's Tower behind me, Wizard's Tower behind me doesn't use any clips whatsoever. But then with a building like that, it's not going to be taken apart and put together and taken apart and put together very much. So it will survive with that. And you know, whereas something like a townhouse, you might have quite a few of those, and you want to flat pack them down, and it's a very simple build to do. You can build it in minutes, and so you'd expect someone to take that down and put it up. So that has the clips. But of course, we've made the option as well of the slightly browner clips, which kind of blend in a little bit better and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, so it depends upon the purpose of the building, what set it's in, and so on and so forth. But in general, you know, I do like the idea of not using clips if the final product is not going to be, final building or whatever is not going to be pulled apart a lot, you know, as it were. But hopefully that was a serious answer for a serious question. I love Stargate. Great, Adam, so do I. I'll be using the portals for the RPG. Yeah, the Stargates. We don't do Stargates, we do portals. But yes, absolutely, got quite a few of those. I do as well, which is why they turn up on almost every Kickstarter. I'm not familiar with the full cross-compatibility of the previous CS content. I have all plus extra bits and pieces and the new set. Would you comment a bit? Cross-compatibility with the previous core space content. So if you're looking at Nuno, I hope I'm saying that right again. If you're looking specifically at core space, the compatibility between obviously core space and all the expansions, all of the original expansions, including the new Dangerous Day stuff. So you're looking at Zeds, and you're looking at Shoot Out Zeds, Outbreak, and what's the other major one from that? I'm sure everybody's shouting it at me. Outbreak's the Purgy Burge. We got the oh god, well, I can't remember that. The Galactic Core expansion as well. So if you're looking at those, plus all the Dangerous Day stuff, including the Workers and the Rogue Purge, you know, that is all completely compatible, goes in completely normal. If you're talking about compatibility between Firstborn and original core space, it's compatible in many ways. Of course, what happens is with that, we've got slightly different variation of the hostility tracker, and we've also got you know, the event, and because of that, the event cards are slightly different. They work the same way, but there's different levels, and you know, so on and so forth. So we're working on some stuff to kind of see the best way to pull that together. But there are definitely ways you can do it. We're just looking for a nice official way to make that all work in. But the crews and the characters and all of that kind of stuff, you can take original core space and you can chuck some Firstborn in there and have them sort of, you know, turn up if you want to do that. And core space is a sandbox game as well, so you can always tweak a little thing here and a little thing there, which is how I managed to play Hellboy or whatever, you know, Star Wars or whatever, with the original core space deluxe rulebook, because it's just obvious in many respects, if you don't mind breaking the rules. But then we tell you to break the rules, so that's kind of, they are the rules. The rules are to break. Let's have a look at T&G Productions. Just popping in to say, looking forward to the Firstborn. Love the fantasy terrain. Yep, okay, thank you very much for that. What is a fantasy CS game coming to Kickstarter? Wow. This year, hopefully. So, yeah, that's all I can really say about that. It's such an early stage at the moment. And remember, things could change. Something else could happen and we need to do a different thing, and we do that, and then, you know. So, but, you know, fingers crossed this year should be all right. Subterranean mines would be a good add-on for all sets, maybe with some transition parts for existing sets. Yep, Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, or anything like that. Love a good mission where you get to go underground and really get to. Yeah, that'd be really, really good. Will there be any more urban apocalypse terrain like the styles of the houses and the gas station, hospital? Yeah, I think I answered that a little bit earlier on, or I misscrolled, or it's a double type. Yes, I'd like to do some more of that stuff, but it is just a case of fitting it all in, which is a short version of what I said. Probably took me 10 minutes to set there. Forgot this. I was late anyway, so you haven't missed too much. Gilberto. R1 channel. Would you think about an empty organizer, big box, or contain all of the stuff for core space? It'd be a big box because there's a lot of core space now. There is a lot of core space now. For the basic stuff with, my set of core. Well, sorry, let me answer your question. Yes, we'll think about it, definitely. I know that because we talked about similar type stuff. We have been looking at some storage solution stuff for some other stuff lately, which we might dip our toe into, which would be interesting. So that'd be quite cool. Getting a number, let me just move this a little bit. But what do I... For original core space, the way I play, my core space is right here behind me. If I grab it, move the books that way. I think this is the one on top. No idea what sort of state it's in because I've pulled a load of things out of it. This little one. Oh, drop some stuff. Hey, put that up. Oh my word. Oh. Secret notes. Put it on there. This is my core space game. This is my one that I use and play on a regular basis. And what I did was I think I just built got my mat on the top. Got 2 mats in there, so that I'm always ready for a bigger setup. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you this without it all kind of falling out. So what I've done is I've built up the inside of my box. I got a couple of lattices and I just built up those lattices so it's higher. So I could basically fit double of everything in. And then I just keep my miniatures, because my miniatures are all painted up, I keep my miniatures separate. Which you can keep in the miniatures box that go in there for those particular ones, but I just keep them in normal miniature. Well, actually, mine are in my cabinet over there, but I do tend to just keep them in a figure tray otherwise. So I really do fit quite a lot of stuff in there. I've got in that box, normal core space box, I've got 2 sets of terrain. And I've got I've got these out at the moment because I'm currently working on the firstborn one, so I've got all of my different character cards from the various expansions. There's actually quite a lot of these, and everything like that. So I keep all of those. I keep all of these kind of and everything else in there. You can see I've penned the edges of mine because I'm absolutely nuts. So I keep the 2 terrain sets, all the components, everything but the miniatures basically fit in there. And I've actually got some stuff from other games as well. So there's some little fire stuff. So sometimes I play missions where something catches on fire or whatever like that, and I've got a little plastic fire tug, and there's still loads of space in there. So yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good to do, I guess, some kind of ultimate storage solution for everything, but it's kind of out of date the next time something else comes out. I like the idea of being able to say, this is my galactic standard or my Baron set, then I'll have my firstborn location set, and then I'll have my gangers and police location set, then I'll have my alien world location set, then I have my Martian sponge creature underwater whatever set, and then I can pick that off the shelf and go, you know what, I'm going to take that one, I'm going to take that one, I'm going to put a portal between them, I'm going to start a mission over here and do that thing and finish over there. That's what I generally like to do. That's the way I would see it, as more of a practical thing. Otherwise it's like, oh, I'm coming around, I bring my core space, and I have to bring this huge great big box on a big, I don't know, I'm waffling now. So Lee, will BS, big gap there, ever come up with a captions log so you can track the adventures of the crew. I don't even know what a caption log is. You'll have to educate me on that. I assume it's some way of tracking your crew and telling a story or something. Not heard of that. Sorry for my idiocy. But I don't know if you saw earlier on, Lee, but you know, I got this dream about going on our website and just clicking a planet. My crew starts there, and then I basically just it loads up, you know, a few missions, and I play those missions, and then when they're done, it points me out and it tells me the planet links to the other systems I can travel to at that particular time, and I can choose one of those and go there and do those missions and load up and so on and so forth, and hopefully there'll be like a nice narrative with that. But it's a big project, but that's where I really see is having that freedom, you know. So two people could go out and buy the course-based game, whichever location they pick, and not play the same stuff. You know, you might say, well, I'm going to start in this system over here and pick that planet. They might choose a completely different, you know, system multiple parsecs away, and then pick a different planet over there, and then their mission will start off there, and you've got these two incredibly amazing adventures, and you know, maybe they cross paths or meet up. That's how I see it for gaming, as it were, but not something that needs a lot of heavy tracking. Something you could just go on and just click and just let it link you to the missions that you need, etc. That'd be great. I keep going on about that. I really, really want that to happen. Let's have a look. I know. Why am I moving my camera? Let me move my camera down. That's better. I know they were from an earlier print run, but is there any chance of seeing those test tube Bacta tank looking sci-fi pieces that attached to the walls again? Right, that was. I wonder if they were the square ones that were in the original sci-fi. Because they were designed for slanty walls. I really do like the whole, you know, sleep chambery type things. We've got a few. I mean, we've got them in the Firstborn, I guess now. Yeah, I expect to see that. It's such a staple of a sci-fi room, so I expect to see something like that again, without a doubt. Love core space and its expansions. Can we get some battle damaged terrain? Now, battle damaged terrain. Kiri, I don't know. But battle damaged terrain is something that you can do incredibly easy. You just have to grab yourself a piece of a. Let me just grab one. Hang on. Find a wall or something. So look, you got yourself a sheet. You can grab yourself a wall, you know, and then what you do, you can take yourself a scalpel or something. I've not got a cutting board here. This is my little pot of scalpels, which I use to build everything that you've ever seen. It's the same box I've had it for 8 years. And this is my scalpel that it's served me well for 8-9 years now, this scalpel. I've looked after it, and it's always been there for me, this trusty scalpel. Same scalpel, never changed it, and because I look after it, it looks after me. Obviously, it's had a lot of new scalpels, and I've had to change the handle, this part here, a few times, but it's the same scalpel. Ow, and I've just pricked myself. So get yourself a scalpel and get a pen and just like mark on here where it is you want to do, and then obviously it would have some kind of, you know, damaged whatever. You can and you can, you know, because of the textures are quite universal, and they've done like this on purpose, especially on many of the sets, things like the Shantytown stuff like that. And then you know, you can invert one, you can have a broken bit into the different wall pieces, you can do all sorts of different stuff. And even if I use a scalpel, sometimes what I would do is I would then go in and with my fingers and just kind of like tear the very edges of the, and you do it like this, and it disappears. you do it like this, and you tear it up. And once you've got these, like, you make little holes and blaster points. And with a scalpel end, you don't even. Is another trusty scalpel that's had a few handles and blade replacements. You can. I'm gonna have to look at what I'm doing here, not the screen. I was going to stab myself again. You could literally just put the scalpel on the top here and give it a little bit of a turn until it creates a little bit of a hole, and then you wind it down and around, and it creates like a little bullet hole like that. And I just lent the scalpel down a little bit to create the doodah. Once you've got that, all you do then is you grab your pens. You grab your kids' felt tip pens or something like that, and you just start to kind of just like, and it's really, don't think there's an artistic thing going on. You just grab the pen, you just stab it on the end, and it just like seeps, the colour seeps in, a little bit of a black pen here for the bullet, and then once that's all done with sort of like a darker colour, you might take like a maybe an orangey thing. If it's a new hole, you just dab that, and it all just kind of, before you know it, it just becomes the thing you want it to do. I did it with a shuttle. I've got a shuttle here. I can do it too. I did it to a shuttle. I just literally grabbed a shuttle, one of the ones I had built up. I took the roof off. I just grabbed one side of it, and I just ripped it open with my hand. Well, obviously my hand. And then I sort of bent a few little bits up, and I made sure the window frame was kind of like sticking up. I had a couple of bits sticking up, and then I just like penned all around the edge, and then I took that other bit I ripped off and took that into a few pieces, scattered it around, set it up. It looked absolutely brilliant. And so if you've got a wall, obviously like this, you could put. There's a mission probably been on Facebook or been posted somewhere where I did a thing, and I just grab a wall and just create a hole in it that a character could come through or whatever, and do that same like a blast effect. And if you're really careful, you can actually just do it nice and neat, cut it out like you would a die cut tool, and you can pop it out and pop it back in. Then and you still colour the edges and pop it out and pop it back in. So you can very easily create your own damaged walls, and pop them into a mission. If you're playing, you're like, right, that wall's been exploded or whatever like that, you can just, while you're playing, just very unclip that thing, put the new one in, and just and pop out the damaged bit, and then you have got damaged walls. And you can do it to anything. You could damage a cargo crate, you could do anything like that. I'm not saying we won't do some damaged terrain and stuff, but you've already got everything you need here to damage it in any way you want. And it's not a big thing. It'll take you, if you're really careful and you're taking your time, it's still only going to take you 10 minutes to damage up a wall. Obviously, okay, I'm being a bit, I've got plenty of walls lying around and stuff like that, but if you can get extra walls, or if you've got a couple of terrain sets and you're very, very rare, there's always walls left over when you do your builds. If you've got a couple of, terrain sets or something like that. I can't remember on the website what we do, but I know in the past we've always sold like sheets of walls and stuff like that. So, for a £5 you can get a whole sheet of walls, which has got, more than enough walls to damage your, to have all sorts of fun with, and each wall can be put into 2 damage parts, for example. So you can literally make ruins of it as well. And we've got Gothic ruins, haven't we? Gothic sci-fi ruins. I'm sure we have. I'm sure Stuart forced me to ram in that set sometime in between trying to juggle a million plates. So I'm pretty sure that we've got that out there as well, which is good. So you could always buy that, which is like Gothic-y, and then you could kind of add extra ruiny kind of stuff to that if you wanted to do that. That's always good fun. And then just grab some pens and just do it up. That's really, really good. Cardboard's very versatile, so I just love that fact. Back to tank. Damaged terrain. Hi, looking forward to finding out more about the fantasy game. Its developers just tested the ruined monastery for the war cry, and it worked great. Excellent, thank you. Love the immersive nature of the train. Yeah, it's all about the immersion for me. So that's the most important thing, is that ability to be able to just lose yourself. And it was always the thing that I didn't like about many games, was the fact that you had all these beautiful miniatures and then they were just standing on tiles. And yeah, the artwork was okay on the tiles, and you can kind of imagine it, but for me it wasn't good enough. What's the point of having the miniatures? You might as well just have counters if you're going to have flat tiles. That's the way I saw it anyway. So for me it was all about the terrain, and right from a very, very early age. Looking forward to finding some. Oh yeah, sorry, just said that. Thank you. Would be great to have a corporate expansion, Galactic Core. Yeah, that would be good. As a location, I like the idea of the gang's location. I like the idea of the corporate one as well. That'd be really, really cool. Yay, Sir Loveheart. I agree. Make a court building. We need more sci-fi, nightlife, court. Yeah. Bruffel's coming soon. Any more ideas on 2.0 modern, or at least some new items added to the catalogue? Yeah, you might have missed that, Jason, but saying earlier on, there's just so many genres that we can move to. It's just a case of having the time to be able to do it, which is a real tough. I'm the bottleneck, basically, as it were, and a control freak, so we'll see. Darren, will we be getting any new short stories, perhaps an anthology or even a novel? You know, that was talked about quite a lot as well. We've talked about it, everything from audiobooks through to short stories and novels. So yes, we absolutely could do all that kind of cool stuff as well. And again, getting the time to talk about it. It's on many of our meeting lists and so on. So no reason why we couldn't do that, which is pretty cool. Certainly like to do that. Boise, hello. Hi, Colin, hello. Do you have plans for a fantasy game system like you had for course-based system? Oh, hang on. Do you have plans for a fantasy game system like you had the course-based system for sci-fi? Love where we are with course-based and love the fantasy love a fantasy version. Apologies, it has been covered. I'm late to the video. Well, I was late to the video as well, so there you go. But yes, it has been covered quite a few times, Boise, and the answer is yes. There are plans, and it should, hopefully, with a bit of luck and a lot of hard work, come this year. How about that? Okay. Do you like Warhammerquest? I've never played Warhammerquest, so I don't know. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I've no idea. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I've still not played it. Not played many things. So happy to hear you mention Blade Runner. Yeah, definitely can't wait to see what you'll be out in the future. Yeah, absolutely love a bit of Blade Runner, as it were. Really like the new film as well, 2049. Absolutely love that film. Cinematography is fantastic. Love the pace of it, and I love the fact that it's just really, really long. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Thank you. Can we apply the full co-op firstborn? Can we apply the full co-op firstborn rules to the old? Can we co-op firstborn rules to the old crews and others missions? You should be able to play. I'm not sure I'm fully understanding the question, but basically, the firstborn co-op rules are, you know, you can play that with existing course base anyway. As you know, if you want to play course base and you want it co-op and you want to play with one crew, then, you know, if you've got a crew of 4 and there's 2 of you, just split it between the 2 of you. Pick 2. One of you are obviously going to take the captain, and you might want to thematically take that role on as well. And then you can, you can definitely split that and make that happen. No problem at all. You could, and then you both just go in and, you know, controlling your own characters, and you can even argue and have one go off, and there's nothing the other one can do about it because it's not their character, even though you're on the same crew, and so on and so forth. If there's 4 of you, only got one crew, you could do it that way as well, and then you've got some real, you know, someone is the captain, you probably start some arguments. So you can do that anyway. Sometimes if you've got like 2 players and there's just 3 in the crew, I would suggest having one play. Well, there's 2 things you can do. You can have like one player play the captain, who's a more powerful character, and then the other person play the crew. That creates both the crew. That makes a nice dynamic. If there's 3 of you, another great thing you can do is you could do 2 people playing the crew, splitting it, or you can have one person controlling the NPCs. And what you can do, you can actually have them control the NPCs instead of using the AI. That would create a particular challenge because it means you can't predict and maneuver, tactically predict what the AI is going to do. But if you're going to do that, I would suggest that the player who's controlling the NPCs would still have to follow the drone AI rules, because I imagine them, on some kind of something that's not under that person's control, because that is an automated process almost by the base. So they'll get to control the liege and the iconoclast and the trueborn, but they wouldn't get to control the drones, and that would be an interesting dynamic for that particular player as well, as it were. Okay, cool. If you can't do normal, then don't do it. You seem to be doing fine by not doing normal. Yes, no, I don't. I just wouldn't want to do normal because it's just, I don't know. It's not capable of doing it. Would it be cool? Would be cool for a fantasy monster heroes like the orc, gladiator, goblin, thief, demon, giant, wolf, etc. Yeah, probably my twist on those particular things. But yeah, love a big monster. Colin, please can you say, I love your videos. Railings. Yeah, railings. Yeah, railings. Got railings everywhere. Got to have some railings because they're really, really cool. So you can use them as heroes, move out of common game. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Big things. I like big things. I would like new campaign with a solid story. Okay, what, for existing core space? Yeah, cool. No problem. I am still waiting, Colin, to release the time-driven campaign. His evil mind gave me a small teaser of a map some time ago. Yes, still we could see it. Yeah, I have got a map of the galactic. I've got a map of the galaxy for core space, and yeah. So if the map is like size of this book, you've got the centre bit, and you've got the spiral arms coming off around it, or the other way for you guys maybe. Yeah, so galactic space is probably about where the whole of core space is set. It's probably set roughly where the red of that eye is. That's the size of it compared to the galaxy, and it sits in the spiral arm, a spiral arm. And of course, so if the spiral arm was coming off the centre here, kind of like this, then firstborn is kind of over here, and an even tiny little dot of a space, very many kiloparsecs away. But I have got the map, and it is there. So that's all I can say about that at the moment. But yeah, love the map. Cthulhu, yeah, of course we could do that. Arkham Horror, Hellboy, yeah. World War, yeah, definitely. Fishing Village, Creepy Mansion, yeah. Love all of those ideas. Yeah, that's really, really cool. As far as settings are concerned, which is great. That's right, Adam. I love answering the questions, so I'm here. Hi, Colin. Another guy here who would love to see Western terrain. Okay, Wild West Exodus. Okay, from I was going to say Minerva, but from yeah, Dudar's people. Yeah, Malifaux, of course. Yeah, which fantasy train. But having a street of buildings and Wild West would just look great. Yeah, well, hopefully the advantage is when we get to do that is that. The great thing I like to do is just be able to provide you with that that one hit box that you can just purchase and just have that whole setup done straight away. A bit like buying the fantasy village. It's just bang, you've got that starter village straight in the set, which is generally more than enough for most people. But hey ho, you're like, well, actually I really want to go mad, just get a couple of those and really jam those buildings together. If you're playing like Carnivelli or something like that, it requires all that really dense terrain and stuff. So yeah, brilliant, love it. Oh, hang on, that actually says see more. A great job as always, thank you, winky face. Yep, lovely. I really want Siege Tower. Yeah, we spoke about Siege Towers, Cedric. Siege Towers. I did have one planned for the fantasy terrain, but it never made it thanks to the Wizard Tower. Yeah, that would be really good for the castle. I don't get my castle out enough, but yeah, really love the Citadel, the castle. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant, lovely set. And thanks Stuart for that. He pushed me for that. Stu is the man to thank for the castle. He said it'd be a good idea, and I wasn't sure, and it was a good idea because when I'd done it, I loved it. It does look really, really good. Really, really good. Could we have a Trophy Hunter expansion and some nice boss battles? Well, I don't know about a Trophy Hunter expansion, but we have got an expansion coming which might fulfill that need, Ashley, as it were. So that's pretty cool. Have you ever considered expanding your team so that you can work on more things at once? Yes, it's happened 3 times because it was originally just, well, 4 times I guess. It was originally mostly just me, and then after about a year when I started to do the more stuff, Wayne was on it really absolutely solid. And then we stuck like that for about 4 years, and then we brought in or a bit longer, 5 years, I can't remember, and then we brought probably longer than that actually, and there 6 years or more maybe, and then we brought in Stuart, and because I was going to just literally explode with the workload, and I wasn't going to be able to push on to other projects. So Stu come in and revolutionised a few things, and then that expanded again, and we've now got Drew, Andrew, known as Drew or Drew Backer, you might know him as, who was who was already coming round for probably 18 months plus, a couple of years doing play testing with us. So you got him to thank for that. He's in the rule book along with a few other people, and so he's now on board. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to expand. So we'll try to take away some of the stuff from myself, so I can focus on just the stuff that only I can do. It's kind of difficult to get people to help me because one, I'm stubborn and a control freak. But that aside, there are certain ways that I design and I put things together in order to create the buildings and so on, how I can do it at speed, that I'm sure there's people out there, there must be, but yeah, but finding someone that can do that in that particular way and hold the style and not be trapped by the stereotypical design things you'd expect of stuff, that is the difficult part, and there's also, so from the actual construction design thing, it's being able to do that is kind of quite difficult. Again, I point you to the Wizard's Tower behind. That was that tower. So when we did the fantasy Kickstarter, that tower didn't exist. So I just thought, well, maybe we'll do a Wizard's Tower, maybe we won't. And I think, I can't remember exactly, so roughly, about a week or so before the end of the Kickstarter, maybe 10 days before the end of the Kickstarter, it was like, right, I better do a Wizard's Tower. But it didn't exist, and I had to, so I had to design it, and I had to do all of the artwork for the building, and then I had to prototype it, build it, prototype it together, and construct it and build it, and photograph it. So I did all that in 5 days. And it didn't look. If you look at the Kickstarter, it's almost no different from this one. There's some stuff missing from inside, but otherwise it was a complete building. And it was only missing from the inside of here. But I can't find someone that can do that kind of stuff. So people would tend to want to use CAD or something just to design, and spend a couple of weeks just trying to design the construction and the angles and stuff like that. But don't use CAD or computers in that particular respect. I can just see how it's going to go together. So I kind of build it in my head first, then I draw a little sketch, and then I just start making it. I literally draw I just go straight to drawing actually the die cut lines, the tooling lines for the manufacturer to cut. on the expectation that when they're cut, they will fit and work together. And then as I then print those myself and start to construct it, and I adjust it as I go, often just couple of little angle adjustments or whatever. And I can't find someone that can do that for me, and not be trapped by the usual design issues that I wouldn't be happy with or whatever, and do that, and then lay the artwork down on top. Have considered maybe getting some people to help me. The artwork's very time consuming, so I could get, instead of me doing all the artwork for the terrain, get someone to do the artwork. And there's amazing artists out there. We're already using artists. The difficulty is that as an artist, when I first started doing it, it's not just being able to do the art on it. Often the artwork can be too detailed, or you have to know what detail you can do, how it can print, and it's a very complicated process. I'm not saying that I'm the only person that can do it, but the only person found that I can do it, and those that can would take I don't know, a couple of months to pull that together, which is not helpful, because I can do it 10 times faster. So I just need is being able to pull that together. So what we focus on is pulling away all the other stuff from the business from me, being able to so customer service emails and all the stuff that I did everything originally pretty much. So I just need to be able, now I really just focus just on that terrain. But even so, I'm still flat out most of the time. There's definitely some more areas that I can that need to be taken away probably from my Kung Fu grip, but just a bit of a control freak, and for all those reasons I said. So yes, we do expand and stuff, and I can't go on forever, I realise that, but I do. It is something that is talked about on a regular basis, because I am absolutely the bottleneck. But right now you get the stuff that you need, hopefully. You get the quality, and you get the attention to detail, and the just sheer love that I put into it. So hopefully that's enough. Have you? Oh, hello. Scroll down a bit. Have you changed Firstborn to more? How have you changed Firstborn to a more solo-friendly compared to original core space? Chris, I don't know what you're talking about. Original core space is incredibly solo-friendly. Interestingly, actually, joke aside, the original core space was played solo. That's how I created the game. I played it solo. I game tested it solo. I did pretty much everything with it solo, and it wasn't until later game testing that we added in another crew and started to play. Interestingly, with Drew and a few other people, that it all kind of started to come together as the co-op game and everything else. So I do think that it's very much a case of I think it's an amazing solo game. So Firstborn is kind of built around that same thing. The difference here is that with this Firstborn, it's only been played. Sorry, it hasn't only been played, but it's 80% of the time been played as just a solo game. So that it is, because that is what it is at its core in the box. But of course, you play it co-op, blah blah blah, etc. But so one thing that happens with original core space, if you're not ready for it, if you're a rushing, guns blazing kind of player, then core space is pretty much going to hand it to you on a plate, your ass that is, and because it won't necessarily allow you to do that unless you've got an incredibly experienced crew. So it does require you to treat your crew the same you would do as if you were those traders. And core space can also, especially on some of the missions, the hostility tracker is leveled up quite high. For a rookie crew, it can be really quite difficult, and the event cards can be mean, and it can be quite an overpowering game. Also, core space can which is partly by design, can lead you into a false sense of security. And then all of a sudden, everything just spawns all at once, and you're like, oh my god, it's time to run. With the firstborn, it's a little bit different. You get a much more gradual increase in the hostility. The hostility increases, but you've got this new phase at the beginning called patrol phase, where you've got a whole stealth aspect as well. So first of all, you might be searching, but you'll be under stealth, so you're not being attacked at all if your stealth is up to crack. So that's quite interesting, and that allows you to kind of move around and be a little bit more careful. That gives you a little bit more time to breathe as a solo player, a little bit more time to move around, a little bit more time to think, rather than only having the option of running. So maybe that's something that lends in well towards that. But that's something you can easily adapt into original core space as well if you want, by taking missions and lowering the hostility level. You can stick it into relaxed if you want to, straight up, and have nothing, or you can adapt it. Hopefully you'll find that or maybe you'll find something in that firstborn when you're playing it and pull it across and go, actually that's quite interesting. I like the slower pace of that. So you might adapt your own hostility tracker in order to do that. I've played many games where I've actually got two hostility trackers and run them next to each other. So I've had hostility trackers where I've used it to track in just the gangs and the police, and then I had a separate one with a pink peg on it about halfway up, that basically, or purple peg or whatever, and the purge don't even come in until the one hostility gets there and it jumps across. So I've had missions where you kind of, the main sort of enemies are your gangers and your police or whatever, or actually they're fighting each other and you're just like ducking and diving and searching around the chaos, and the purge don't even come in until way halfway through the game. So there's plenty of things that you can do like that, very, very easy to achieve. And make for interesting games and various locations and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Expanding the team. Are you going to? Oh, hang on. I'll scroll down. Are you going to Origins and or Gen Con this year? No, we're not going to. Not that I'm aware, unless Stu tells me all of a sudden. No. We're still in full lockdown, and there's all sorts of different stuff. So normally we do 2 or 3 main shows a year. Salute has already been moved back. UK Games Expo is on, but has been moved back by a couple of months. So that's now in June or July sometime or something. Essen is on at the moment, so it really depends on what's happening. But in the future, yeah, absolutely love to get out to all of those things when everything sort of settles down a little bit. Boss battles, yeah, got to be. This game reminds me of XCOM. I can see boss battles. Yes, yes, XCOM. I played. It'd been out quite a long time, but I did play XCOM quite a lot on an iPad. I think I really enjoyed that. That was really good fun. Yeah, a game similar to that, but without the turn-based thing. I used to like playing Dawn of War. That was a really good game as well. The original ones, that is. That they were good fun. Can I say thank you? Core Space is amazing. I love it, and all the other terrain. My purge love playing pool. Okay, Ian, thank you. That might have been yourself that put a picture of them playing pool on that. That was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely loved that. That was great. That made my day seeing that. Thank you very much for that. I'll definitely subscribe to that online mission tracking. Yeah, I love that. Absolutely, that's what I want to do actually. Ultimately, don't know how to make it work, but yeah, that's what I'd like, and it'd be really expensive, I'm sure. But I hope you do like our nice new shiny website. Long time coming that was. A generic captain's log, a generic book that we can keep from day one to see how our crew develops, and 3 adventures and their adventures. Sorry, it would be great if it's a core space style as opposed to boring notebook. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Ian, Lee, sorry. Yes, I get it now. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of a cool idea, isn't it? Yeah, to be able to kind of track and look back and yeah. Especially if you can track it and look back and see where things went wrong. And it's like you might be able to look back and track what you did and make some different choices. That would be interesting. An app for crew, yeah, definitely, Christopher. Yeah, that'd be good. Hi Cole, bye Cole. Tabletop board game. See you later. I want a crew for the victory ship, Space Sweepers. Ah, yes, we spoke about that earlier. Bubs, the robot, don't know who that is. Tao Ho, the pilot, yeah. Tiger Spark, ex-ganger, and the Captain Jang. Okay, that's I've purposely, well, not purposely, but I've seen that. I'm not watching it at the moment. I don't want to be influenced by it, but it does look very good. I have to say, yeah. Don't mind Wild Wild West, yeah. Or Weird West, yeah. That's probably I'm probably more likely to be a bit weird. Any homebrew Xenomorph rules for CS? I did do a Michael. I did, yeah. One of the guys I kept mentioning like Hellboy and Star Wars and stuff as that rule set, but yes, Aliens was a game that I did play quite a lot with my course-based system. That was a pretty good one. I used to play that on the original sci-fi terrain. That was really good fun. That was pre-course based, but obviously the rule set's been around for years and years before that. Yes, homebrew ones. I've probably got them kicking around somewhere, not on a computer, most likely in notepad form. Yeah, there were some fun games, and again relied on ammunition and all those things that created that kind of tension. So that was really good. Yeah, definitely had fun with that. Wow, it's 9 and you're still here. Well, Jason, Mr. Jardine, I did start 1 hour late due to a small family emergency. Yeah, so this is nothing like my usual epic 4-hour jobbies, so I won't be able to do that. But I just thought, come in and say hello, as it were, and just have a chat with everybody. No major objective here. I just wanted to jump on and just have a chat with people and just see what people had to say and how they're feeling, etc., which is pretty cool. I'll do all future communication with Andrew, addressing him as Drewbacker now. Yes, he is Drewbacker. He's always been Drewbacker as far as I know. In fact, on my WhatsApp, he's still Drewbacker, I'm sure. What would you love to make yourself, but keep putting off because it's too niche? What would I love to make myself, but keep putting it off because it's too niche? I don't think there's anything at the moment. Core Space is my thing. You see, it's my game. I love it. I love playing it. I love making it. Just trying to think if there's a thing in Core Space that I would like to do, but it's too niche. I don't think there is one. I wanted to do a fantasy version. That's not exactly niche, is it? But that's coming. There were some things that I wanted to do in Core Space that I didn't get round to doing, just because of time and all the other things. But some of that stuff's kind of comes to fruition, like in the Dangerous Days expansions and stuff like that. And the next version of the Dangerous Days expansion that's coming, there's a little thing in there. I wouldn't say it's necessarily niche, but it was like I never got around to doing it. I was always disappointed. And Drewbacker and I doing our playtesting always spoke about, it'd be great if we could do this or do that. So that stuff's coming. And I've already done the designs and the sketches and various other bits and pieces. Maybe I've got something on here because you're all asking and stuff. I'll see if I can find a little sneak peek or something. So I do all my designs on my iPad. This is and I use a program called Procreate, which is really good. It's basically Photoshop, but like a million times cheaper, but pretty much just as good. What can we show you as a sneak peek that I won't get in trouble with? I don't know. You might there might be some stuff that you might have seen. So there's this guy. I don't know how clear this is going to be. Do I need to turn it? Try and get out there. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's get this right. Try and get it so it's a bit of an angle, so you're not getting a shine on it. So there's this guy here. I'm not going to say what he is. I don't know if it says it on there. Actually, I don't think it does. There's one kind of guy. You might have seen that because Stu does share stuff. I'm not in charge of social media anymore. I haven't been for a long time. So there was that guy. There's this lady. Oh, hang on, let me just expand that slightly so you can't see what's written on it. Although maybe you have been told. Hang on, let's get this. So yeah, I like to do all my drawings. Whoops. Oh, blimey, this is hard work. There we go. I like to do my drawings on the iPad because I find I can get a real, I have a real freedom. So that's another design, which is, we've already got that sculpted actually. That's really nice. What else have we got in here? Would you like to see some original Mixer ideas? Some different faces and stuff I did for Mixer. Some weird stuff there going on. What else have I got? I'm trying to see if I can find something. There's some aliens here that never made it into core space as well, some various bits and pieces. There's this guy. Got like 4 arms, a bit like Walrusy, I guess. What else have we got now? Just loads of stuff on here. Some of the original Firstborn work. See, what happens is that I design them on here first, and then we send them off to Nick Greenwood, who's our guy that converts them into the colour work that you see actually in the game. But they're already designed on here. So here's my XL. I call him Big Mac. One of my favourite characters. Again, another play on this character that I designed this guy when I was 16. I'm 47 now. It's amazing. We've got like this is originally this was called Norman, then changed to Norma, and then the name changed again as he moved from male to female. What else we got on here? Doobity-doo-ba-doo. My original drawing for Cassie as a design. See if we can find some Firstborn. Must have loads of Firstborn. We've got the there's my picture of the live one. Oh, difficult. Live one. The Trueborn. Difficult to see that one. So this is where it all kind of starts from. Just trying to find. Just trying to see if there's anything on here that I've drawn that's not happened because it's too niche. Just looking through some gun designs, they made it in. The Worm, they made it in. Sentinels, my original Hopper design. I love Hopper. I'm looking for something that I might have designed that is just too niche. Or what's that? No, that's not it. I don't think I've got. Just looking. Nothing here. Self-portrait. No. I've really not got. So I don't know. I don't know if there's something that's too niche. I don't think there is anything that's too niche. It's a good question. I wish I could answer it properly, but I can't. I just can't think of anything that it would be. I'll probably, when it's done, I'll probably of course I should have said that. I only play solo and I love it. Richard, yeah, I didn't. I went through a big period of my life where most of my friends, or certainly the ones that live local to me, just didn't play games. So if I wanted to play games, I had to play with myself. So it was solo all the way, and kind of takes the pressure off. I'm not a very competitive person, so at all. I mean, like literally not competitive. So I'd much rather play a co-op or a solo game over anything else, unless it's something I don't really care about, winning or losing, as it were. But I care a lot about core space, so you know. even when doing a lot of play testing with Drew, you know, often we wouldn't exchange that much fire, as it were. Me again. Just thought on figures. Any ideas on different poses, i.e., the Merg? So if two crews have one, it's not the same model. Oh, that's interesting. And civilians to deck out the hall, say blah blah blah. Yeah, actually, I won't say blah blah blah. I'll read some more. I'm terrible at doing that. Oh, it's only one extra word, money. I know there are loads of figures out there, but it would be great. Yeah, I have one thing I would like to do, which I guess is might be a little bit niche from a business point of view, is I would like to do, I'd like to grab some of the figures and put them in different poses. We did talk about a resin line of miniatures of the characters, but in resin, for those that specifically want that and specifically want the detail for painting and stuff like that. And of course, if we did that, we wouldn't just recast the same ones in resin. We would get the sculptor to repose them, basically, and release those. I kind of like the idea of that. I like the idea of some relaxed poses and action poses as well. That's very niche. That would be just for me. That would be very selfish thing to do, whereby you would have a character in a more relaxed walking stroke standing pose, and then when the action starts, you put them in a and not for any mechanical reason like there are in some games, but just because I think it's really cool. I'm a big fan. I mean, I literally turn my miniatures so the guns point at the other miniatures when I'm rolling dice. It's just the way I play. So I don't realise I'm doing it, but I know it. I just do it. So I do absolutely. I would absolutely love to pick some of my favourite characters and just like redo that and do a resin range and stuff like that. From a business point of view, it's probably very niche, and considering the moulding and all the rest of it, resin's not, the upfront cost isn't there, the ongoing costs and the margins and the time and so on and so forth, and the expense of getting all the stuff reposed, etc. And just general time consuming thing. But that's quite niche, and I would definitely like to do that. I'd also like to, expand out on the aliens a bit, which we are doing a little bit in places of some stuff that's coming. So, be like, okay, well, what, Gak's the only Quell? Well, actually, Quell, their planet was destroyed, blah, 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 blah. So there's not as many of them, but there's not, you wouldn't expect to see them so often. But, I want another Quell, and you'd expect to see, we've got two Ganiques, two Ecturine, or is it three? Can't remember. Or maybe that's something we haven't showed you. I can't remember. But I'd like to expand out so you see more of the same kind of race, as it were. So that's kind of interesting. We've got two Orna. Some stuff like that I'd like to do. Civilians, love the civilians. Got some more civilian-y kind of stuff coming. And a bit like when we brought out the workers. The workers is a great one because they are workers and have their mechanics for that, which is a new type of civilian. But you can flip them and make them an ordinary civilian. Of course, you've got all your traders, which are civilians as well. So you've got plenty of civilians, as it were. So that's really cool. Yeah, Ian, definitely like the idea of the twin pose thing, but maybe that helps me answer the niche question, because I would really like to do that. And I know we've spoken about it before. It doesn't always make good business sense to kind of travel in that direction, though, which is necessarily straight away. It's amazing. Thanks. I think we're blind someone else. So will the Firstborn and Purge ever meet? Well, they've got to, Jack. The Firstborn and the Purge have got to meet at some point. You've got, in many respects, the Purge technology is way more advanced than the Firstborn. In many respects, in how they got here, which I don't think you guys know how they got here yet. Or suspect where they're coming from, but the thing with the Purges is that as advanced as their technology is, when they first arrive here, they are very much then on their own path of evolution. Some of the early purge that you don't see, some of the big world destroying, biomass destroying, were huge, monstrous building size, bigger than building size machines, designed to hit the planet in that particular respect, which is great for pretty much plant-based, barren of intelligent life planets. But for advanced races that can defend themselves, that's not the way. And so they evolved themselves to be more humanized in shape and form, so they can, manipulate a door handle. They need a hand and and open and get in a vehicle and do whatever it is they need to do. So the Purge themselves, an incredibly highly, advanced race compared to our current galaxy. You then got the Firstborn, who have been asleep so long, that when they were here, they were the only intelligent life in the galaxy. That was one of the things that drove them mad and sort of like sent them to sleep. But the so yeah, you've got this the advanced purge technology, which in itself is kind of in its infancy because it's held back by the very matter of this galaxy. When you see the Purge as they are, it might surprise you to know that they're not actually the Purge. They are a construct of the Purge, a tool, if you like. They're not necessarily the Purge that created them. And you then got the Firstborn, who are, the most advanced as so far technological race from within this galaxy, and currently, compared to the tools of the Purge, are more advanced than the Purge, but in much smaller numbers. So when those guys meet, it's going to be very, very interesting what our traders are going to have to deal with when that happens. Be quite interesting. Probably a lot of running, to be fair. That's probably what's going to happen. A lot of running. Okay. Just as I find it nearly over. Oh, well, not necessarily. We'll see. Any plans on using an app for the game? Adam, I don't know, because I don't know how popular those are, and I won't know until I get kind of told, as it were, in very sort of like, on sheets of paper and things, very businessy things. For me, I don't use apps. The only app for a game I've ever used was a Zombicide one to track my cards for my characters or something. I enjoyed using it. It was a bit of a what's it called? I found it a bit of a gimmick, but I did it because did that when I was playing Zombicide quite a few years ago. It didn't add anything. I'm sure that's like the most basic of what the apps can do now. I could certainly see an advantage to, having your crew. I mean, a phone screen is about the size of a dashboard, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, literally about the size of a dashboard. I made them that size anyway. So you would be able to, swipe and just have your first crew member swipe and activate them and add and remove ammo pegs and do all that kind of stuff. So that would be really, really cool. I don't think I'd do it because I've got it right there in front of me. I love the tactile feel of doing that. I think some of the app stuff, I'm sure, comes into play when you are maybe playing with someone else online, or although maybe Tabletop Simulator does that, or you have a kind of some sort of travel version or something like that, where that would kind of come in handy. Lack of table space maybe would be another thing if you could do it that way as well, and have it that way. And I guess it adds the automation then. I guess the advantage is when it starts moving all that stuff for you. So if I could have it on my iPad and I have my crew at the bottom and then the hostility, and then I just click next round and it ups all that and draws the event card. So if that saves me space and time, I think that would be quite a good thing to do, a good option. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought massively about it. We've talked about it. I haven't thought massively about it, but I'd need to see the. For me, it'd need to offer something. It would need to fix. I wouldn't say an issue, but it would need to achieve something that is not replacing something in the game, but giving you a different option for those that found a need for it, as it were. Yeah, sounds cool. I'm open to lots of different ideas, and certainly something I wouldn't necessarily have to have my hands on. Wouldn't stop me from doing other stuff, and something we could put out, but be quite interesting. Hellboy stuff would be really cool. Plus modern buildings, yeah, anything like that would be. It says Smoot, but Unseen Giraffe. Oh, hello. Yes, so I think yeah, that would be great. I've played Hellboy many a time, reasonably recently actually. Well, I say reasonably before Christmas, but it's recent for me. Yeah, I've got a Hellboy version of Core Space, which I did play. I don't know if I've got my cards over there. I can't see them. Oh, I could have brought those out. I've got my dashboards with my Hellboy stuff in it. It's quite good because you've got different counters. You've got like there's no advantage to Hellboy running around finding lots of different weapons because he's got his gun, and so I did some new equipment tokens for him, and what he benefits from is finding things like horseshoes and the 40s clothing, the lucky rabbit's foot, and the charms that help him and do this and achieve that. That was quite a cool little thing. And it was less about a searching mechanic really for Hellboy anyway, other than when he really needed to find something, and more about just having the working his way through the minions to the big boss. But I had some fun with that. I definitely had some fun with that. That was cool. First, Core Space. Okay, so you're having a conversation again, I think. So does the firstborn need experienced crews to play, or can you just go in with a new crew? So for the firstborn, Jack, when you go in with firstborn, you're going to have a rookie crew because that's what's going to be in the box, unless you decide actually I want to award them a few extra points because you prefer a bit more experience. You can do that. That'll give you an advantage early on. But you're going to go in with a rookie crew. You're not going to start with true crew like the original Core Space. I think it was 2. Maybe I was wrong. You will start and you will have 3 crew. What we do in this one, because no original Core Space, your crews just come together. You've got really rubbish weapons, anything that's free, like from a vending machine, and you really, you really got weapons that almost. I guess if you're fighting another rookie crew, a weapon that rolls 1 dice is actually quite devastating. But against the Purge, you might as well just be throwing marshmallows at them. So, and that's part of the fun of it. With the firstborn, I think the traders going in are generally a little bit more experienced. So what you've got is your traders themselves are slightly higher on their points cost if you're into the pointy stuff, and that shows obviously in that they'll probably have an extra skill point here and there, and maybe an extra health point, etc. A slightly longer career track, and 2 of those crew members, depending on who you go in with, have got a shield straight on their base. So Cassie has got shield armor directly on her armor slot before you even take it out, because she's going in there with some pretty good combat armor. She's an experienced person. That gives you a big advantage going in. And Balcor has got a shield as well, but actually not on his armor slot that you can pop out, but straight on him because he's just really big and he's really tough. A bit like a Chit or a Merg. A Brutus, sorry. Or Mercs. It will be all Mercs. So they are pretty... they are a little bit more experienced. the other thing as well is that with Firstborn, what we're doing with this one is that at mission 1, basically what I'm saying is no crew would go into Firstborn space unless they've got a little bit of normal trader experience. So what we do with this one is we give you it's not a lot. It's not a lot. We give you 15 UA to spend at the start, even on mission 1, to buy some stuff. Now it doesn't go far. I tend to go in with a military pistol with a burst effect, so that I've got 2 dice, 3 dice if I get really stuck. And I normally then take. I have to buy a mining drubber. You're going to need that to mine the crystals out the wall, and then mark the room with a mine token if you're going to use that to craft the weaponry that you really want to get. And some pretty basic stuff. There are still 1 or 2 zero cost items there that you can kit your guys out with, just in case you want to laugh and try and shoot a Firstborn with a vending machine pistol. So you can do that, and we give you that 15. So they have those advantages. They're a bit tougher. If you don't want to use the crew in the box and you want to take in an existing crew, then I would definitely suggest running them through a couple of missions first, so that you get a couple of extra career points up. Maybe that boosts someone's skill slightly. I'll certainly give you some more options on what skills you can choose with the points that you've got available. And also that gives you a chance to find a couple of good weaponry, bits of weaponry, or at least get some UA behind you so you can buy something. If I ran a crew through 2 missions, I would probably get a pretty good lot of UA. I'd probably then buy out. I'd probably buy a machine pistol. If I could afford it, I'd buy 2 machine pistols and give those to a couple of crew members. So I'm rolling at least 3 dice then with if I'm rolling at least 3 dice with probably I'd like to be rolling 3 dice and only using 1 ammo at a time, like I get from a machine pistol. But you're not going to be able to necessarily do that. So if you kit your crew out and you get a machine pistol, which you will be able to do, I think, I'm not sure, on career level 1, that would be 12 UA straight away, which would leave you next to nothing for the rest of your crew. And unlike original core space, you're not going to go through the cargo crates and just find loads of ammo and just like military pistols galore and guns that you can just pick up and stuff like that. You're not going to find that in Firstborn. It won't happen. You'll find other technology that you'll have to use that's got its advantages and disadvantages, and that's going to be very helpful. But you're not going to, if you, like I said earlier on, if you're going with no ammo, you're going to run out of ammo very quickly. And if once you run out of ammo, then you have to run. So depending on, Balcor can roll 3 dice in close combat. That's one good thing, because he's a big tough guy. And there's a new close combat skill that he's got. I can't remember what we called it. Brute, might be brute force, something like that. A new one of those, which is basically just it's a new skill to kind of cover those kind of characters that would just whack you with the sheer size of their big floppery arms, and it's going to knock you across the room. So when you use that skill, it tends to knock the character prone, and I think at level 2 or 3 or whatever, you can pick the character up and literally hurl them across the room, kind of thing, for those big, more brutish creaturey type things. So that's pretty cool. So couple of missions at least, I would say, run your crew through before you go in and attempt. If you're using an existing crew, run through a couple of missions. Or not, just going with the rookie crew and see how long you're going to last. I would be tempted just to go in and just swap the crew straight out. In fact, I might do that next time. I can't. I need to I'm playing testing the actual characters at the moment, but I might have a go at that next. Richard, hi. First of all, great game and great terrain. I love it. Thank you. Don't know if someone has asked already. Probably. Let's see. But will you keep on evolving and making expansions for the first core space now that the Firstborn is coming? Absolutely, yeah. I have answered it, but I'll answer it in very brief again. Core space is a location game. It's all about locations. So we originally started in the Barrens, and we've got our core space it's set in the Barrens, that area around the black hole where the Purge are emanating from. Then we decided actually just to go to the arse end of the Perseus Arm right at the very where people really don't go, can't travel because it takes too long. And we've created that location. I'd like to come back and do some other locations, like more sort of outlandy, shanty kind of areas with gangers and stuff like that as the main protagonist. And then you've got this overriding story of the purge coming through and the, and the overall. So the idea is you can do locations. So maybe a few years from now, it'd be really nice if someone's just getting into core space, they can look at it and go, well, do I take the original game? Do I want to start my core space experience in the Barrens? Do I want to start it right at the end of the Perseus Arm in Firstborn space, as we call it, or do I want to be in the Outlands, where the gangs and stuff are, or do I want to be in Galactic Central, where you're going to get like the Galactic Core, and that will be your main kind of threat, as it were, main enemy. So always going to be expanding it because I want to visit those locations myself. Well, I kind of already am, but I want those to be like in a box. I can put it off the shelf and just open it up and just go for it. So yes, that is definitely the plan. And of course, we've got fantasy core space as well. So that very much could be a location kind of based game as well. And they're kind of set in the same galaxy, kind of. So well, they are. I'm just going to say that straight out. Even the fantasy one, because obviously reasons. So yeah. Okay. Deep Space Nine style, yeah, space station scenery and scenarios and associated interspecies. Yeah, absolutely, Maddie. That's anything like that is just good fun. I never really watched. I watched a few episodes of Deep Space Nine. So that's interesting. I like the kind of tradey kind of vibe that had. That kind of stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Rules get broken a little bit less. I did quite like that. I never really watched it properly. Just like maybe 1 or 2 episodes. But yeah, nice vibe to that. Reminds me of Doctor and Quinch, that pick. Ooh, I'm not sure what that is. Giraffe, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm really not sure what that is. But I'll take your word for it. Okay, those are great to see. Are we talking about my sketches? Takes me a while to answer the questions. Can the new crews we are getting with Firstborn? With the normal core space? Can the new crews we are getting with Firstborn? I guess you mean compatible with the normal core space, Jack? Yes, absolutely you can. You absolutely can. Yeah. Yeah. They're just a little bit more. They're a little bit more experienced. They're a little bit higher points value. But you've only got to get a crew with a mission or two ahead of them, and they'll be perfectly balanced, in my opinion. Or put them against Rogue Purge. Take that crew and start leveling them up, and start leveling up the Rogue Purge, because the Rogue Purge have got some pretty heavy points values on them. If you're choosing the gangers as some as your crew, like Zeds and stuff, you've got some quite high flying point values in that. If you're pulling together your own crew, which is what I've always done, apart from original testing, where you have to test the core game stuff, like I'm doing Firstborn. So I used to play the games testing just the Black Maria crew and the Iron Hope crew for original core space. Of course, we've got like 48, really solid traders. So, I would have, my crew would be like Ariana as a captain, or maybe Wise as a captain. And then I'd have like a Chit in there, and I like Tommen because he's almost a captain character. And I like Mac, So they're quite high point values anyway. So if you're going to build your own crew, you can absolutely equal the Firstborn crew anyway. So you can, that's the beauty of it, but yeah, you can absolutely, they're just a crew at the end of the day. They've got their skills, they're based on their various things. There's a couple of extra there's some new class boards in there which would be interesting. I think we've got like a hacker and stuff like that, which you might have seen a version of before, and we've got a marine class board now, which is kind of put together specifically for Cassie, really. But of course, it's a class board, you can put it on anyone. So that's kind of cool. Very combat focused. But yeah, you can just take them in and just use them in normal core space. Absolutely. Yes, you can use them. Oh, your answer for you. In regular CS, I got 2 copies for backpack utility belts. Yeah. Oh yes, I'm working on the utility belt bits and pieces at the moment. That's very good. Mr. Jardine, I think you'd be surprised. Lots of CS players would buy resins, especially if there was a pose variation. You'd have to do pose variation, Mr. Jardine, if you're going to do that anyway. Especially if there's a pose variant, and I think the figures would be popular across into other games as well. Yeah, I agree, Jason, but I don't know whether that's. I'd have to see some things on bits of paper, I guess, and feel it out or whatever. But something I'd like to do. I like to do it just so I can paint them and then not paint them. Will there be a playable firstborn crew? That's very interesting, Adam, because well, no, there's not right now. So there's your answer to that. But we did it with obviously the Rogue Purge. So Rogue Firstborn, I guess. I do. The thing with the Firstborn is they're a bit crazy. They're not they were fanatical when they went to sleep. They're not the normal Firstborn from normal Firstborn space. Well, they look the same and everything, but they're like a very fanatical faction of the Firstborn. The rest kind of died out, let themselves die out, for want of a better word. Various, the Great Filter or whatever. But these ones that slept, they kind of saw that coming and they slept. But they were already fanatical, but the sleep just wasn't right. They're supposed to not dream, and they did for millennia, and it just drove them a bit nuts. But they are, they are intelligent life, and so that you'd expect them to be able to, to handle that, to be able to, have a playable version of it. I don't know if it's happening yet, but as part of the campaign that I've got, there is a part where you're communicating with them, and you might get to control a liege as part of the one of the missions. But that may or may not make it in. But but yeah, I think it'd be interesting to, albeit a bit powerful. We've certainly got all the tokens and the equipment for it because it's already in the box. You'd have to figure out a way of, would they purchase stuff? I don't know, but we've got, you could kit them out with all their own equipment. And that would be very interesting. Oh, I might try that. Okay, that's cool. How's the space shuttle design coming along? Scene or Sean? I think if you're talking about the one on the Kickstarter we did, the like snub-nosed patrol shuttle, yeah, it's not at the moment because I haven't quite got to that tool. I'm still doing some of the laminated sheets that I'm slaving away at. But if you're talking about actually a new space shuttle that you want me to do, if I get to do a spaceship, I'll go hopefully like one better than that a bit. It depends what you think of a shuttle. When I think of a shuttle, I think of something like from Star Trek, the little shuttle square blocky thing that flies out the back. If I do a ship, I'd be thinking about doing something a little bit different. But bespoke, one fit kind of goes together, but a bit more room than our usual shuttle we got. I was thinking of using an app for the AI. Help the game be more narrative. Okay, cool. Yeah. The thing I like about core spaces is that there's a narrative to the mission. Obviously, you've got an objective and so on, but a lot of the narrative comes out of just what happens in the game. You go on your mission, and then the gang turns up, and then there's infighting within the gang, and then the galactic core come up, and you often you kind of end up. I remember one mission we had this like security guard, and he was just unstoppable. He's like knocking down Purge left. I just couldn't believe the rolls that the guy was getting. And he did die in the end, of course. But I just felt like I wanted to remove that model and I don't know, award him, make him part of my crew or something because of, you know, the promise that he showed. You get these amazing narratives that come out of the dice rolls and the you know, and I kind of have a narrative run in my head anyway, which is different from you've got the objective, but things start to happen, and I imagine the crew interaction as this thing happens and what they'd be saying, and you know, and even like the security or the civilians when they're wandering about, they come up. I feel the narrative behind it. You know, when you roll in the security guard and he's up and down the corridor, he goes down the corridor one way. And you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, he's going to come in and he's going to search me or whatever. And then the dice rolls the next thing, and he just goes back in the same direction. Some people are like, oh, that's a bit boring. He went down there and went back again. I like to think he's, you know, something happened on his communicator, and he's like, oh damn it, I've got to go back to my patrol point, or I've got to back, you know. So I find the core space kind of writes its own narratives as it goes. Might just be me in the way that I play, very immersive, as it were. But I do love the narrative that is unexpected from core space. Yeah, some of the best games are like that. Are you planning on doing a Western themed terrain set at any point? Yeah, we spoke about that a few times up there. No, not right now, but have we thought about it? Yes. How many times? Many times we thought about it. So it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen right away, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen, as it were. That's pretty cool. So you don't do normal. Give us a tease of what a fantasy crew will behave like. No classic maid, you said. What weird and wonderful roles can we expect? Well, I definitely don't want to at this stage give you too many sneak peeks. You know I'm going to do it later on, and too early, but not quite yet. Got a few sketches and ideas, and you know, various things coming together. I guess, you know, yes, there won't. You know, I mean, I don't want to say there won't be, because maybe something will change and I'll put a spin on it. But you know, don't necessarily expect a guy in a pointy hat and a long beard and a staff, but expect there to be magic. You know, there'll be magic. You know, don't expect there necessarily to be elves, but there might be a race that fulfills that role. You know, and if there is elves, don't expect them to necessarily be, you know, the long-lived kind of almost high elf kind of royal technology. Well, technology is the wrong word, isn't it? You know, that kind of advanced, you know, race. You know, maybe they're more feral. Maybe they're more, you know, foresty kind of thing. Still connected to nature and that kind of vibe of the elf or something like that. So just don't necessarily expect the, you know, would there be trolls or, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, but would they look like, you know, depends what your idea of a troll is. You know, is there magic? Yes, there is, but where does the magic come from? Is it magic? Is it science? Who cares? Isn't magic just science we don't understand anyway? You know, how does it link? How does it link to this galaxy and what's been in this galaxy? How do we know what's been in this galaxy before core space, or even after? Maybe tens of thousands of years after the current setting of core space. You know, what would be the after effects of maybe if the Purge did make it through the galaxy? Would they leave stuff behind? Would that be part of the source of the magic? Would that be, you know, so there's lots of different things to consider. You know, I don't know, maybe there'd be a pointy hat, but yeah, would there be a barbarian? You know, I'm sure there'd be someone to fill that role. Would they look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and have a loincloth? Probably not. You know, but would there be someone to fill that role? I'm sure. You know, so because I love that stuff, I absolutely love. You know, I love a bit of Conan. You know, so but just don't expect it in the way, you know, that you might expect it, and that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, some people put a spin on stuff. It's like you will get like a space cowboy, you know, and it's kind of like, okay, so they take a cowboy and they dress him in cowboy clothes and they lop an arm off, put a robot arm on it, and put a space gun in his thing and a metal plate on his hat, or that's not my idea of like shaking it up a bit. Expect a different backstory, a different evolution to it, maybe. But it's very early, so it's not solid enough for me to kind of really just give you some kind of hints into how the crew would be. All I can say is I've got a vibe. I've got a feeling, and I've got a vibe about it. And through doing the drawings and then passing those to Wayne to talk about the vibe, and Wayne pulling together some lore about it, and that in turn will then inspire me to push a design in this direction, and we'll go backwards and forwards until that kind of fleshes out as we're doing at the moment. And what happens is that will click, something will click and pull it all together, and that'll probably then drive the story and so on and so forth. So I'm quite excited about that whole process, because it's a very fun, creative, exciting, because then I get to see stuff for the first time. By the time we get to Kickstarter, it's old news for me, but brand new news for you, which is really great. And actually the big payoff is just to be able to kind of hand it over and go, here you go, this is hopefully what you've been waiting for, and if it's not exactly what you was thinking, just have a look and see if you like it. So, and of course we've got the fantasy setting anyway. We've got all buildings and stuff that can be used with that, as it were, and it's and like original sci-fi stuff, the cargo crates in that were a particular size for a very specific reason, because we knew core space was coming. We've got little trunks and various bits and pieces on fantasy, because we know what's coming, we know the mechanic, as it were, which is pretty cool. So I am really looking forward to it. So okay, is the BS now focusing more on core space than buildings, etc., and other games? Hang on. Is the BS now focusing more on core space than buildings, etc., for other games? Love the sci-fi stuff and use it a lot, but be nice to see other directions too. Yeah, I'm biased. So it's core space is a focus at the moment, absolutely, without a doubt. But a bit like, we did core space. We did it. We're doing it. Been doing a long time. But we did the original core space game. We kickstarted that, and then we went to buildings again, fancy buildings. We did that whole Kickstarter, which was a big thing. In fact, our biggest Kickstarter ever. And then we're back onto the Firstborn. And now then we'll do the fantasy, because we need to get that thing started and moving along, and then probably back to buildings again, and then we'll go back and we might dibble dabble in some other kind of like little side things as well. So yeah, we do have a plan of what we're going to be doing in the future, very kind of rough mapped out plan for 3 to 5 years, but really what happens is that you kind of adapt and move, and in all honesty, this we do change our plans quite regularly, because of you guys. Often, what you're talking about and asking about, and what's achievable, and what can be done. So, for example, the fantasy was a massive task. It was a big Kickstarter, but regardless of the funding level, we still have to make all of the stuff that goes in it. Whether you just hit your target or you hit 1,000%, it makes a difference. You still got to make all of those things, and that was one of the biggest challenges for me. The huge, time putting those tools together and stuff. So I'm sure I said it on one of the other live feeds and said it to many times before, but on an average, if you look at Firstborn, I think we're working on, I can't remember exactly, but I should know this because I'm literally working on it right now. But we're looking at like 23 or 24 tools, the die cutting tools for all the cardboard components.
and that's time consuming getting on with that. Original core space would be something similar. Often projects can be like 14 tools, or so on and so forth. Um, the fantasy one was 74 tools, I think. That was just immense. So I was tooling for 5 months, like nearly half a year of just tooling, which is it's not necessarily a creative process. It is if you're thinking about engineering, creative engineeringly, but it's not a creative process. And so I didn't want to go for. So the reason I did Firstborn was because I didn't want to go straight from fantasy, a Kickstarter as intense on that, to, for example, a sci-fi version of doing the fantasy buildings, with individual width, because it would have, as great as it would have been, and I'm sure it would have done well, it would have been a massive mental drain on me. So I needed to get creative with the core space, and core space needs to be expanded and supported as well. So there's other business reasons to do it, but not stepping away from buildings, but when we do a Kickstart, basically when we do building Kickstarters, it is a massive task for me. As I spoke about earlier on, it's me that does all of that stuff. It's a massive task for me, and when it's like 74 tools, it did push me, and I can work hard. If anyone knows, any of you guys that come to the shows and I spoke to you about my working day and stuff, that I can pull in a 17-hour day, no problem. But that one was a particular challenge for me, for just sheer volume. So Colin needs a little bit of downtime, because as I need the creative, I need to enjoy what's happening. So I need the creativity to be able to go back and draw characters and do the character design and stuff like that. And I'm working on a project like this. There's far less tools, as I've just said, like maybe 22 or 24 tools or something. So that's like a third of the workflow as far as that's concerned. Plus there's lots of elements in the game that I won't necessarily control. So I may design the characters and do those drawings that I was showing you, and get all of that detail done, which is fun and creative. But then we pass it over to Nick Greenwood, who then does the final artwork for that. So there's one part of artwork that I actually don't need to do for that, which is great. And then you've got the sculpting and the miniatures. So that's another thing that I don't have to do, which creates a component for the game, and so on and so forth. And then I've got the arrangement of the character cards and stuff, which some of the stuff I'm doing now, which is not so taxing for me creatively. Gives me a bit of a rest, but it's also enjoyable, because as a gamer, I like to watch the characters come together. So I'll be reading the lore from Wayne that says blah blah blah, this is what the character is, and then I go to the character card and go, well, as an NPC, probably this will, he'll have this particular attribute or this particular skill, or so yeah, I really enjoy that kind of thing. And then you've got the rules coming together and the play testing. So I need that little bit of downtime for me, as a person. If I was to just focus on the building stuff all of the time, just the building stuff all the time, I think I might get creatively exhausted in that particular area, and that's not good for me, and it's not good for the business, and it's not good for you guys. So I need to make sure that, so I've got all these things happening. The business wants things to go in certain ways. Core space wants to be supported and go in certain ways, which is great, because it's, the reason I just started Battle Systems in the first place was to kind of create core space. Originally, it just took me a while to get there, because you have to walk before you can run. And then, so the business needs that stuff from a business point of view, but I also need to be able to have this, I need to have this ability to control my workflow and control the intensity of what I do. And like most creative people, if I don't get to fulfill the certain things, it makes me, it drives me down. So I need to be able to make sure that I've got this creative thing going on all the time. Otherwise, I'll just throw a tantrum or something, or whatever. So it's very important that I keep that balance. Battle Systems, when I did it, one of the core reasons to do it was to do something I enjoyed as well. So I've got to make sure that you know, I always very very important for me that I always enjoy the work that I'm doing, and so it's a balance because you know, doing the, you know, working in battle systems is fun, is enjoyable, but it's also incredibly challenging and incredibly stressful. You know, in other areas, so you've got to be able to control that, um, just just to be happy. So yeah, and you know, hopefully, you know, happy people make happy games. So, you know, yeah, I don't want to get too deep there, but yeah, it's important for me to be able to control that, as it were. Um, think you will ever do an end game expansion where you have super advanced crews and expand further the game? End game expansion. Is that like a reference to Infinity, or is this like, you know, like the Marvel kind of thing where you just get this all these powerful characters all like, you know, battling together or something like that? Or end game, is that like a general term to mean you create these kind of expansions and then move around? Sorry, you create the games and move around, and then near the end you want something to do with your advanced crews. I guess I'm asking a question of that question there. You ever do an in-game expansion? It's in quotes, so maybe it's referring to a particular thing. If you're still about, you can confirm that, because otherwise I'll waffle on and won't give you the answer. We need a galaxy map. Yeah, I know, Jardine. Maybe I'll show you one. Yeah, maybe. I've only got it on my computer. I don't know how to. Can I even screen share on a Facebook Live meeting? I'm sure I can, but if I press a button, I'm probably gonna end the video. So, okay. So going with the rookie crew. Took me 4 attempts to do the intro mission in core space, Ian. Well, there you go. Sometimes you can just be unlucky, but if you're going guns blazing, you're going to you're not going to be successful. I have to say that apart from when I really pushed it on, I played a few games before Christmas where I decided to play differently from what I normally play and stay in the game too long, and I lost my entire crew. That's never happened before. But generally, it's very, very rare that I even end up with a downed crew member. It almost just doesn't happen, and it's just because I play very tactically, and a little bit carefully, and as far as my crew are concerned, a little bit cowardly. So when I play, I'm always very careful to just not stay in the game too long. I will take risks. I absolutely do take risks, and almost every time I think I've probably just got enough time to do that, it goes pear-shaped. But I think I've just got to that point where I'm able to. I know that when I know that when it does go pear-shaped, because I took that risk, I know I've just got a couple of cards up the sleeve to help me. So I'll make sure that I've got a skill or a couple of skill points left and the specific skill that I need to know. So often it'll be a case of going for that final cargo crate, and there'll be a spawn point in that room, and yes, inevitably something spawns in there, and it'll be an iconoclast or, I don't know, assassin, a similar, you know, kind of rank 3 type character, and it'll make contact with you very quickly, and you've got like 1 or 2 health left, and it does a great roll, because I always do. And I will often find that I will I just got to make sure that I've got, like, you know, reflexes at hand as a skill that allows me to kind of, you know, ignore the hits of the attack, or you know, and I'll send somebody in that's got close combat expert, so that I've always got that passive ability to get away, to ignore the first hit of the attacks of opportunity, and so on and so forth. So I just make sure that I've got people that can at least get one chance, and then they run, you know, back to the ship. And every game I end up running back to the ship, so I stay in a little bit longer, but I play tactically and play very, very carefully. So yeah, rookie crews, yeah. I don't lose people very often, which is good because I'll be crying all the time. Too much crying. What is your technique for spawning civilians? Do you pick the lesser civilians or do you pick random non-captain and then grab their mini? It really depends upon what I've got, because obviously I've got loads of cards. I tend to just shuffle. I put the character cards together and I just shuffle them up basically without looking. Put them over. I can see which is the next civilian coming, and then that way I get this little tease of, I'll put one down and then I can see the next one that's coming. Sometimes that helps me to stay on the board. I think, well, actually, I'll stay on the board because if Tommen's coming in, I wouldn't mind him as a crew member because he's like a second captain with his 3 actions, etc. That's how I would generally do it, as it were. I leave the captains in there as well, because sometimes because captains go shopping as well. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. And then the minis are all in my cabinet over there, so I don't really get them out. I just get them out as they arrive, as it were. I think I missed when you answered my question about going to Gen Con. Okay, Adam, what was your plans for those cons? That we're not going. There's the short answer then. If you're still around, because obviously it takes me a while to get to get through the questions. But yes, I am definitely not. We're definitely not going to Gen Con as far as I know, unless Stu suddenly says, "Oh, we are, Cole," blah blah blah. But I don't think we are. So we're not going to Gen Con. Obviously, we're not doing Salute. I don't know for those that are in the UK, not doing Salute because that's been. Oh, hang on, we are doing. No, it's been moved. Oh, I don't know what we're doing. We were doing Salute. It's been moved, isn't it? It's been moved to November. So maybe we are doing Salute. I don't know. UK Games Expo maybe for those in the UK, and possibly Essen, but I don't know. UK Games Expo moved. I don't think it was going to do it, but then it's moved. So that conversation is now void. We'll do whatever we can. I do love doing the shows. They're stupidly hard work for an old man like me, but I do love doing it because I actually get to go out and be a punter for a bit around the stalls. But also I get to just talk like I'm doing now and have a chat. I generally just talk about core space, which I just love doing. So apologies in advance for anyone who decides they want to talk to me at the show and then can't get away. Have you ever but no Gen Con. Never been to Gen Con. Love to go, but no, the American shows. It's that and another one. But hopefully I'll be in the future. I'll be able to do that once we've got systems set up. Just started to, before the COVID thing, have a little system set up where we had stuff on pallets arriving so that we didn't have to load the cars up as much and stuff. And the moment when we go like to Germany, we're driving, so it's like a 10-hour drive from one country to another, and then we've got the and we're all bundled in a car, and it's just it's good fun, but it's also really exhausting, especially at the end of the show when you're all absolutely shattered and knackered, and there's like a 10-hour drive, as it were. Luckily Stu shares that drive with me, but so no Gen Con or anything, but looking forward to the when I can just jump on a plane, just turn up and everything's set up. I'll be like, oh, thank you. Have you ever considered to make extra event cards available for retail? Yeah, we've talked about some event card packs and decks. You know what? There is something I haven't still not made it in yet, but I've got this great idea for a training deck, so that what you can do between missions, you can actually send your guys on training, and you can purchase training, and you purchase, if you like, the cards, and those cards can be played in game. So you might have you might put them through maneuvers, and that will allow you to play this particular card, and you can take up to 3 cards in. And if you don't use them, you lose them, because people forget their trains. You have to retrain and stuff like that. So I've got some ideas of different things like that. I've a little bit going along with what I spoke about earlier about the galaxy map and being able to pick your planet and all the rest of it. I also have this great idea, a great thing that I want to do, which is to have kind of like location-based decks, so that if you are on like let's say you've got our Outlands terrain and you're having a game on that particular set, you've got a lot of open land, almost like deserty, cracked kind of like wasteland, as it were. And I like the idea of, you know, more environment cards for that. So you'd have like, you know, the old tornado turn up and randomly move. I love all the random stuff, civilians wandering around and stuff. You know, so you'd have that, and we've got worms now, so you can have like rock worms coming out, and you know, and stuff like that. So I really like the idea of having a deck like that. And of course, if you was to then be in Galactic Central, you'd have a deck that you might use with there, or at least a set of cards that you would shuffle into that deck, so that you're more likely to get auto defenses, or you're more likely to get a door shut on you and trap you in, or whatever the case, or random security patrol, or you know, toxic gas to trap you, or whatever it might be. So I really do like the idea of that kind of that stuff, and you know, a deck of cards is a great thing to add just a little bit of spice. Relatively inexpensive to produce, etc. as well, which is kind of cool, because you get all the support and the mechanics, you know, without having to pay, you know, tens of thousands of pounds on tooling and so on and so forth. So yeah, definitely considered it. Certainly like the idea of the training deck. Certainly I like the idea of location-based event cards as well. Yeah, we've got a lot of event card chat coming up soon in the meeting, so that's one thing to put on the table, as it were. If I am taking a six-man crew, man, it's like an army. How would you change the rules to make it happen? More spawn points, or put some purge on, or something? Okay, Jack, so basically if I was going to go in with a six-man crew, and I have gone in with large crews like that, so I have gone in with a full ship's complement of 7, or was it 6? I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but yeah, I went in with a full complement of crew. There's 2 ways you can look at it. If it's an objective-based game, then I'd probably bring in the purge reinforcements, up the hostility tracker. That'll probably be enough to fight you back quite easily. That's one very simple thing that you can do. If you're on a larger map, I would just let them go in with purge reinforcements anyway. Leave the hostility tracker where it is, because they can only carry so much, and they'll progress through the map, and there'll be twice the amount of stuff to search for, and just time will be against you, and how much you can penetrate into the map will be against you. And ultimately, with a big crew like that, you're probably going to separate to kind of penetrate that map properly, in which case you are going to end up with equivalent of just 2 players playing, like, you know, with 2 different crews anyway. And as you know, just in a normal game, the purge can quite happily take you on. The other aspect is it just means you can stay in there a bit longer, so you're still going to get that fight. You're still going to really get pushed on that and get that fight out of it. So yeah, you could absolutely do that. You wouldn't really have to do too much. It just gives you options to stay longer. Yeah, for example, as one example, Zombicide is making a Wild West game. Well, hey, that'd be great. Look forward to that. I will say increase the level track, change side of the purge. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Gilberto, you can actually you can turn the purge to the charge side. That's going to give you a challenge straight away. In fact, that alone, even without purge reinforcements, depending on the size of your map, you're not going to get that many turns extra in there. Purge running right through the medieval town Stargate. Possibilities are endless. Wow, Ian, very interesting. Very interesting. You really could use this game in any environment. You can play any game. I told you, Hellboy, Batman, Aliens. Remember that one? Star Wars, of course. It started as a Star Wars game many years ago, when skill points used to be force points. Oh God, that's a great game, that is. Yeah, you really can, and you can use it in any environment. Any terrain you've already got, you use it. You can chuck core space into anything. In the same way I can use that book to just play Hellboy or do whatever, you can use core space miniatures and that rule book, and you can take your core space and put them on any terrain and have your battle. Just place your spawn points in the locations you want to place it, and off you go. And we've got so much terrain anyway. Big multi-level stuff and all the rest of it. You can just mix and match and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Some of the best games I've had is where you start in Cyberpunk, go through the portal, end up on the Outlands, get in your shuttle, pick the shuttle up, crash into a Galactic Core Central on the Galactic set, and do a thing over there. And sometimes the Purge aren't even involved in that until the later hostility levels. And there's a real stories, real thematic. Don't be scared to just keep it simple, keep it small. Just play write yourself 3 simple missions, 3 different locations, link it with a story, and just give yourself an advantage in each mission afterwards, depending on how well you do in the other one, or a disadvantage. Great and easy, not too big of a campaign that you never finish it kind of effect, and then just let Core Space write the story for you as it goes as well. That's really good. Dodgy dyslexic typing, yeah. Well, not compared to me, I'm afraid. That's it. So I'm making a funny crew up soon, and a comedy part for the little fun with the Zapoid, Beetle, Box, All Perfect, Trillion, and Melvin. Oh, okay, brilliant. Yeah, Jack, that'd be great. Love, love Hitchhikers. I think that would be really cool. Actually, I know people use like Red Dwarf as well. Those guys, crew Red Dwarf. So that's pretty cool. You could have some good fun with that. That'd be really good. I will do a crossover from a demonic game. Great demons, amazing art, and some quite big and some even taller than CS walls. Any ideas for ruling? This will bring some kind of horror. Yeah, horror's pretty cool. Horror in Core Space could be a really cool thing. You could really have you could really take it in a new direction if you did something like that. Get some real kind of horrific action going on. That would be pretty cool. Some good idea. I like the idea of that. Food for thought, that one. Consider boxed games outside Core Space and fantasy Core Space. Considered boxed games outside other games. Mats Olsen, you mean like other games? We've got a great spaceship game that I keep having to shelve for various reasons. But I just love playing that game. It's really nice little spaceship game that needs to be pulled together in its overall feel as a product. But playing it, Drew and I had some good fun just messing around with that. It's really nice because you get this kind of feel of the ships on a board, so you can move them around in their hexes and travel through space and do what it is you need to do, and fight each other, and you've got shields and evasive maneuvers and all that kind of cool stuff. But at the same time, you've got your ship off to one side, and you have to manage the crew as well, which is really cool. Had really good fun with that. So if that's what you mean, absolutely got some ideas like that. Having a lot of fun with Core Space at the moment, and obviously with Fantasy Core Space coming in, and that whole thing is a living creature that needs to evolve and just grow as it is massively growing. It's been a massive success, and is breaking all the rules of usual. To date, breaking all the rules of usual games and retail, and how games are released and then kind of trail off. Core Space is just doing the opposite. It's the print runs and everything are growing. It's really weird. It's a really weird thing that's happening, but hopefully it's because it's a good game, but also because we're supporting it and everybody's enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it. We're all enjoying it, so why wouldn't it, I guess. What's your favourite new feature in Firstborn that's not in Core Space? Favourite new feature is probably... Okay, well, I don't know which is my favourite, but let me tell you some of the things I like about Firstborn. One of the things I really like is the knowledge dice. When you're fighting the original Core Space, when you're fighting the Purge, there is this ability, if you're good and have got tactics, It won't last forever because purge are infinite. But you can, you can work around, you can plan, what the AI of the purge is going to do. It's because it's a rule and it's set in stone, so you can work around it. You can't beat it, but you can work around it, and it's what keeps you alive. It's knowing how they work as a hive mind. As far as the trade is concerned, thematically, it's observation. It's knowing how they act and how they move around. So you can predict that and move around, and that's part of the tactical thing of it. It's a very, very important part of core space. With the firstborn, you can still do that because they have the rules that they follow. However, they have the knowledge dice, and when they're on their normal side of their character board, they roll the knowledge dice on the first time they roll attack dice. When they're attacking you, they roll that knowledge dice as well. Now that knowledge dice you can't predict because obviously there's 6 different things that can happen. So you can run in a room and know for sure that the liege outside the room is going to walk in. It's not going to make it to you, and it's going to roll some dice. And you might think, well, that's fine. I've got 4 health. He's rolling 3 dice, and I've got this much armor. The worst, and this skill, the worst he can do is take off 2 health. So I know I've got just enough time to stand in that room and search a crate and then run away from him if the worst happens. But then he's rolling the knowledge dice as well. So what happens is you go in and you get to that cargo crate. The liege comes in as predicted because he has to follow those rules. You're the nearest character. Sometimes that changes. If something spawns or something and something else becomes the nearest character, you can pull him out. But he comes into the room and he rolls his attack, and he maybe takes a health point or gets his 2 health points. But you have to take the effect of the knowledge dice as well. Now, the knowledge dice could create fear, for example. And if it's not a captain, it's going to place a fear token on that character. That character, in the next turn, is not going to be controlled by you. It's going to spend both its actions, or its next 2 actions, moving away in the opposite direction, uncontrolled. And that could run him into even more trouble than they are already in. He or she's already in. So, that could be one effect that you weren't expecting, or it could be warp, in which case it's going to pick you up and chuck you across the room 3 inches, and if you hit a wall, it's going to hurt you some more, and then you're prone. So you're in the wrong position you needed to be in, and you've got to spend an action getting up, which means you probably haven't got enough. Movement to get out of the room, which means he's going to attack you again with that knowledge dice, and he's going to attack you twice this time. So the knowledge dice will do multiple things. You might run behind cover and think, I'm going to be all right, I've got a shield plus cover. He'd have to roll a max, but then he makes a roll, and he does roll a max. You're like, well, it's only 1, but actually the knowledge dice ignores cover on that particular thing. So all of a sudden you've got a defeated character, and there's all these different effects. And if there's a few in there, a few of them could roll fear, and you could end up with a crew that's got a couple of fear counters on them. The captain's then got to use their words to kind of remove. They're using their actions to remove the fear from you. They're calming you down. They're like, if they're within short range and line of sight. If they're not, then you're in trouble. Anyway, so you've got this kind of the knowledge dice is a really great thing that adds something really new to core space, which I find really enjoyable because it stops me as a solo player predominantly being able to predict exactly what's going to happen. I like the idea as well as the fact that later on is to be able to do something with the knowledge dice. So for those that have been here a while listening to me, thank you. I was saying about the fact that the Purge are evolving, because the Purge are actually the most advanced race, far more advanced than the Firstborn, but they're having to evolve because they're adapting to this galaxy as part of a story that has never been told and will be told much later on. So as they evolve, I'd like to give them a dice as well that allows them to have a kind of an unpredictable aspect to their nature that gives them actions that you can't predict, So I think I really like that mechanic. The other thing I like in Firstborn that's not in the original, you can put it in the original core space. It's really easy because we were already using it as a homebrew rule, or just as a advanced rule, if you like. But is the stealth, having the hostility in an area where whatever's on the board doesn't just rush towards you. They go along the drones go along their patrol points while everything else is asleep. They're patrolling, and providing you can stay out of line of sight when they move from patrol point to patrol point and they scan the area they're on, you can not be targeted by them. But as soon as you alert a single drone through various actions, either by being seen or by shooting a weapon that creates noise or whatever, then you will that was it. The hostility tracker immediately jumps from, doesn't matter if it's just one point in the patrol, it will jump like seven steps right up into the inspection phase when various leads start to wake up. So I think that those two things are really nice mechanics that give anyone who's used to playing core space a little bit of a challenge, because you've now got a new area of the game, the stealth mode, if you like, at the beginning of the game, unless the mission sets it further up. And you've also got that knowledge dice, which is really good. And you know what? In the expansions, for those of you on the Kickstarter, in the expansions, you've got dice specific to the Tallow and the Cerberosa as well. So you have got unique dice. So the Tallow, the very tall sentinel kind of things, they can actually set you on fire, for example, which is not very nice. So you take the damage of whatever hits score, you might score your damage. So if you've got an armor of 1 and they roll 2 dice, you're going to take a hit, but also it's going to place a couple of fire tokens. Now, unless you put those out in the assessment phase, you're going to lose health. You're going to remove one of those fire tokens and you're going to move health. Then you're going to remove the other one, you're going to move health. So you need some way of putting that out, etc. So there is, you've got that, and you've got the Cerberosa have also got these like dreadlocky poison barb things that spin around and hit you and stuff. They, you'll get poisoned, and you're going to need, if you haven't got a stim on you to neutralise that, then you can expect to lose a point of health in every assessment phase. In addition to trying taking out the huge, great, big, massive beast things that are wandering around. The Sentinels are really good as well. The Tallow are really good as well, because they're kind of hard to defeat. They're a bit like an Annihilator for you original core spaces, in the fact that they've got like a slot that you move. They've got a section that moves out, so they actually take wounds, if you like, and it changes their stats. But you can't just, to damage them, you have to defeat them, and then they go prone, and then you have to defeat them a second time in order to remove that thing. You can only really damage them when they're down prone, and if they get back up again, you've got to start all over again. So these big towering things, which are very, very apart from the insane god, it's like they're the tallest miniatures we've ever done. So they're great big walking, Tallow, so golem, strokey, weird things. So so they've got their own kind of knowledge dice as well that have those various effects on it, that could give them extra actions and all sorts of stuff. So I really like the unpredictability of that, and I really like the stealth mode. For me, those are the two big things. I guess the next one will be crafting, which we've kind of done with the Road Purge before, but now that you've got, now that you're able to mine the walls, you can search a room as normal, just like original core space, but you can also mine a wall, mine a room as well. And you mark it the mine counter, or mined counter, and that allows you to collect minerals, which you can then use in the trade phase to craft weapons. You save those up and use it to craft weapons. Certain weapons you will not get unless you mine those minerals, and there's some really cool new weapons in there that take advantage of the firstborn minerals and the technology that unlocks to give those weapons unique abilities. Like a gun where the ammo, if it doesn't hit, returns to the weapon, which is pretty cool, and some other, armor that allows you to re-roll the effects of it, and so on and so forth. That's really, really cool. Absolutely love that. So there's 3 things, I guess, but the first 2, the stealth and the knowledge dice, big game changers, pun intended for me, as far as that's concerned. So are you doing any crossovers like into Fallout or something like that? No, not at the moment. We've been in talks with various people, but we're really just full with our own work at the moment. yeah, I mean, Fallout was a really good thing to do. I really enjoyed it. It's very time consuming. The main reason I did it was because Modifius, Chris Birch, approached me before my first Kickstarter and actually said to me, "Have you heard about Kickstarter?" He said, "Oh, this is lovely. Have you heard about Kickstarter?" And kind of sort of introduced me to it. I was looking at it, kind of thing, and he was like, "Look, have a, just have a chat. I'll you just talk to me on Skype." And he dedicated a lot of time to talk me through Kickstarter and how that works, and so had a really good relationship. So when he asked me to do that, I wanted to do it just, partly to say thanks for the advice and everything, setting me up early to make sure we could run a good and efficient Kickstarter. So, very time consuming and stuff like that. We do get stuff out of it. We get like cross marketing and all that kind of stuff, and of course the kudos of it, and just enjoyed doing it. Bought an Xbox just to play the game so I could walk around it and figure out the artwork, etc. And we did like Terminator Genesis, some stuff for them and stuff, some of which come to fruition, some of it didn't. But so we do talk to people, we do get lots of offers, but we're just so rammed with our own stuff at the moment. It's not good for us to just jump in without unless it's just exactly the right product at the right time. But that's certainly been talked with it. Yeah, I heard about the spaceship game. Yes, love the spaceship game. Yeah, it's coming at some point. We spoke in November. Any more news on the ship battles in Core Space? Yeah. Again, sort of tied in with the spaceship game. The spaceship game that was doing, the idea is it's a standalone game. Not necessarily tied to Core Space. You don't have to have Core Space to play. It's complete standalone and great fun as it is. However, it will be set in, or that's the plan anyway, it would be set in the Core Space universe. So, for anyone who's got existing Core Space, you'll see the nods towards Core Space on a regular basis, just in the terminology. It's not even Easter eggs, it's just like, yeah, it's absolutely Core Space, but you don't need any prerequisites to Core Space or anything like that. And of course, it'll bring in new and different interesting things. And then the idea is that if we can, we're going to make it so that it can be played between hands, so you can have this kind of Core Space compatible mode. How that's going to work exactly, I don't know at the moment, because the game is as great as I love the game and stuff like that. It has to be pulled together and work just right. But I really love the idea of, as I said before, on the website, you go to the thing, you press the planet. I'm going to start my mission here. I'm going to do this, and you play those 3 missions or whatever that's on that planet, and then I'm going to go to this planet next. But instead of going straight to that mission, you pick up if you can pick up the spaceship game and play the mission and the objective in that as a sort of between, and that's your crew, making it out to the area where they can jump to Core Space or whatever, and having that kind of thing as an in between thing, and then having the effects of that give you an advantage or disadvantage in the next mission. That would be a great goal to have. I'd really enjoy doing that. That would be a really fun way of kind of having that bridge. It's how of course, but I've sort of mentioned it a million times, but Core Space originally started many years ago as a Star Wars game. Like I said, skill points were force points and so on and so forth, big Star Wars game. And the way I used to play that was the same thing, because X-Wing wasn't about then, but I had a Star Wars spaceship game which I used to play as well, very kind of similar to X-Wing, but bit more Core Spacey, in the way it handled the shields and all that kind of stuff. And it's only just a very simple game, but I used to play my Star Wars game, and I used to have my lovely big battle with just a few characters, I guess a crew. It'd be like, maybe Luke circa, 10 years or so. Well, a bit like Luke. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say. For spoilers, I'm just not going to say. For people who might be watching TV programs. But yeah. So basically, I'd have like Luke and maybe an older Han and some other bits and pieces, and I would have them as my crew. Maybe 4 or 5, maybe three of the main core characters, and I'd have a group of maybe 5 rebel troopers with them, and just hordes and hordes of stormtroopers. I mean, ridiculous amounts of like NPCs coming, And I'd do that, and then I would finish that thing, and then I would play the spaceship game to go to the next mission, and then I would, depending on what happens there, I might end up with a lot of damage on the spaceship, and I'd have to roll to say that these characters are a bit damaged from that, and so on and so forth. So I really love this idea of being able to kind of gel this stuff together. But spaceship game, great as it is at the moment, very early concept. We've got it, we've played it far too many times, actually, than I should have done for the business. And we've got the artwork of the gridded map done and all that kind of stuff, and it's really, 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 really kind of fun to play in it. But it's not a game at the moment. It's just not a game at the moment. It's a set of mechanics that move crew and ship around, So yeah, love it. I should stop talking about the spaceship game because it's just not coming like yet. Said before, Core Space, best game ever, genius. I've used terrain for Zombicide Invader, great. Imperial Assault, of course, and used the rules for Planetside games with those old Gorka Morka trucks. I don't know what those are, but they sound cool. Chug Mini, Chug Mini. Yeah, I never thought of that, Chug Mini. I'm always a bit funny with the minis. There's I love to do like something with a bit of a twist, and I guess we do auxiliaries now. Do we? I can say that. I suppose I can. Yes, well, because we've got one in Firstborn, haven't we? But there's others coming. But yeah, we've got like Mixer is an auxiliary, so I guess we could do a Chug Mini and make it gameable, as it were. I'm a bit funny with comedy minis because as much as Core Space is fun and stuff like that, I take every single miniature really seriously. They're like real people to me. So I sometimes get a bit bent out of shape when I get a game and it's got like a comedy mini in it. I was like, the tooling, money you spent on that, you could have added this character. I think I got a bit bent out of shape with Batman because it had some sort of like bat cow in it or something like that. I was like, wow, look at the size of that. You could have got 2 miniatures and we didn't get this miniature, we didn't get that one. I didn't get bent out of shape, but I thought about it for 10 seconds. So maybe I'm overreacting, but yeah, Chug Mini maybe. Mining minerals and crafting. This have to be a mechanic you can confirm for fantasy game. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, I like the idea. I think going along with magic and stuff like that, I always like. I mean, even in Firstborn, we've got, because I kind of feel like the Firstborn are kind of magic in their science. I mean, the knowledge dice alone is magic to our traders. Being able to pick someone up and warp them across the room is brilliant. It's very magical in some of the things they can do. So, like, you get event cards where a portal appears in front of you, and things will spawn from it, or you could shoot 3 ammo into that kind of portal and force it to close. Then you don't have to deal with the NPCs that might have come from that event card, but now you're 3 ammo down. But also by doing that, you have to then take that card and shuffle it back into the deck, and it might just come back a few cards later anyway, and you're just going to have to face it at a higher hostility level, which means it's going to spawn some more. So there's a lot of in Firstborn, I find very sort of magical kind of stuff in there as well. We've got, in Fantasy Core Space, you'd have something like an amulet or something like that, which would, you'd have to collect the pieces, and when you get them together, all glowy, sparkly stuff. But the already in Firstborn we've got those. We've got like the tablets that you collect and are worth more when they're sort of collected together. So mining, yeah, I see that in fantasy it might be something you'd do to craft up or mix potions or something like that would be a really cool kind of thing. Are we getting any posters for Core Space? Posters? Is it because of this one behind? This is an old poster. This is for one of the retail posters. I can never do this right. Is it like that? Yeah, so this is our Core Space. It's only an A3 one. It's got some stuff at the bottom. It says Core Space is available here. But I haven't actually got any here to sell, but it says it up there. So, yeah, posters for Core Space? I don't know. I don't think we've, apart from retail, I don't think we've ever spoken about posters, as it were. But, yeah, well, there we go. Now, before I go, I just need to really quickly, there was, if I can do it on here, apparently there was some questions for those that couldn't make the live feed, and before my family emergency I was going to look through these and have a check to see if I can answer those questions. So I'll have a quick look now because that would be terrible if I didn't answer the questions. And if I do it all at the end, I guess that's a good thing. So let's have a look. Okay, 16 comments over here. So let's have a look. Paddy, now I've seen you in here. I've seen you. Any bespoke individual fancy building style kits on the horizon? I answered that one, so that's good. Why are you always making live chats when I'm running a D&D? I don't know the answer to that question. Carol, sorry about that. Why are you always running D&D while we're on a live feed? Very good, Stuart. Right, okay. That's a fair point, but I calculated in my head, started running, that's not a question then, snap. Initiative roll, blah blah blah, some chatty banter, should I say. When is the fantasy game coming? Can't tell you that, I've answered that up there. Cole, can't tell you, but hopefully this, the idea is much later this year, more end of the year as it were. Can you please up the ratio of non-human to human characters in general, but especially in the fantasy game? Kind of goes without reason. So it goes without saying. Core space was always designed around the more human area of space, and that's always how I envisioned it, as the aliens not populating it so much. That might change in the locations that we do. So later on, but yeah, for fantasy, yes, it's it's not just like absolutely. And no elves, dwarves, and halflings are not non-humans. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's fine. Anyone else? A particular non-human race in mind? Okay. Have any particular non-human race in mind? I'm hungry for the lore to this wonderful game. Is there any relationship between the Firstborn and the Purge? That's interesting. Any relationship to the Firstborn and Purge? Well, that's all part of an overriding story. I'm not going to say there is, but not necessarily say there isn't. So I'm kind of not going to answer that question, mostly because I don't want to. Just have a think about it. I know a few of you have speculated, so just keep speculating. Any chance of more fluff? Maybe someone could do a novel or short stories. We spoke about that. Definitely something we spoke about with audiobooks and things like that. Netflix series now, that would be good, wouldn't it? Okay. Can the Purge truly be defeated? Well, that's no, resistance futile. That's definitely a in the short term, yes. Like I said, the Purge you see, they're not the Purge. What you see are not the Purge. They're actually constructed to be able to deal with this galaxy. So the actual Purge are not really here, as it were. It's a bit weird. Can't make it. We'll see if I can come up. Questions? No promises there. 4 questions. Oh crikey! Here we go, Andrew. I want to delve into the dungeon and plans for the new ramped up dungeon set. Okay, look for our coming Kickstarter for dungeon style type terrain for the fantasy core space. That's how it's going to kind of work. So when is the new fantasy game coming? As I said, can't tell you that at the moment. You hinted at core space spaceship game. I've just been speaking about that. So if you've come to the end just to see if your questions are answered, go back 10 minutes, maybe a couple bit more. Any fantasy racial buildings on the horizon? Oh, I see. Dwarf, elven, orc. Yeah, it's a good point actually, because our fantasy stuff is all very. I mean, the Wizard's Tower a little bit elfy, I suppose, but it's all very much kind of human based like that. So I like the idea of some orky and elfy. Certainly some elven buildings would be really, really nice. Nothing on the horizon because we're working on the fantasy stuff at the moment, but we'll see the vibes that come in that basically come into that. Hopefully that's answered those questions, as it were, and if not, sorry about that. Mining Minerals Crafted Bazaar. I'll just check quickly here before I go. Are we getting any posters? I'll go with that. or a new portal opens and it shoots the 3 bullets out again in your direction. That's actually quite a good idea. Where was that idea? Where was that idea ages ago? Okay, haven't fully thought this through, but a solo character, i.e. private, detective, investigator, and the Sam space style scenarios. Yes, I've got. Yeah, I like the idea of the kind of individual characters and stuff as well. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I kind of like that. Maybe one that could be playable or have an NPC specific thing going on. Not got that specifically coming, but there are ideas around that. My biggest request. Shall I make this the last question? I think I should do. My biggest request. I know you didn't create the character generator on the internet. I didn't. But I would love to have a printout. If I create a custom class, a printout will be generated of all the level 1, 2, and 3 skills I choose. Skills choose on a little character sheet, cheat sheet card. I asked before, but probably doesn't know how to. Okay, well, okay, so, well, yeah. I mean, depends what you can do. I guess if you had Photoshop or something, I really don't know what you've got at your disposal. But yeah, I guess that'd be a great feature. You know, to be able to print something out, so you could do it that way. Yeah, because all the ones that I use, like for Star Wars and Hellboy and Judge Dredd and all that kind of stuff, I just use Photoshop and I just take the template and I change the background so it's themed to the game, and then I Google a picture of the character that I want, Luke or whatever, and I find the best one that fits, and I just stick it on the top there, and then I really enjoy building the stats and, you know, creating the skills and all the rest of it, and then obviously I print it out. But yeah, I'm not good with the appy type stuff. I'm not that kind of computery guy. So, oh well, okay. Well, thanks for the thanks there. Thank you for taking the time for this. Love picking your brains. Well, I love to talk. Epic question, eh? Thank you. Yeah. I didn't go on 4 hours this time, did I? There's no way I did 4 hours. 3 hours 21. Okay, so yeah, so thank you very much everybody for coming along and all those comments, hundreds of comments. So and hopefully I've done my best to answer all of your questions. I think we're doing really well with Firstborn. It's ticking along on time, despite all the COVID and despite all the other garbage that's going on in the world of Brexit and everything else. So we're you know, there are already delays, but we had those delays built in because we guessed stuff was coming. So anyone that's backed us on the Firstborn, that's all good. More core space coming. We might be getting some stuff out even before Firstborn stuff hits retail or something. There's a thing going on. There's a plan. We're trying to get that stuff sorted. No promises there. Hopefully the fantasy stuff is coming. That would be great for this year. Something exciting to get on with, and then more core space, and then more buildings, and then more round in circles. So, but thank you very much for that, everybody. Thanks for all your questions. Some cracking questions there. And hopefully my answers weren't too laboriously long. Have to say goodbye for now. So thank you everybody, and I will see you all on the next live feed. Cheers everybody, and I'll see you later. I'm going to press this red button here, which I've been very careful not to press so many times when scrolling the comments, and I will do that now, and I'll finish with a wave. See you later.